my friend and I, in the GSP Dan Hardy fight, and my friend would be like, "What can you say about Dan Hardy? Like, he at least tried." It's like, yeah, sure, he tried in this UFC title fight.
Yeah. He did, though. He did try. He didn't
did,
submit to
sure.
multiple submissions, right? Like, it is what it is.
Sure, he tried. Good for him. The
Dude,
Fiend
do you remember
tried.
when, Dana was building that fight up and he was like, listen, Dan Hardy might not be the grappler the GSP is, but in terms of striking, he is the best the UFC has ever seen. And everyone was like, Because, like, the truth was, I don't think he was a better striker than GSP.
No.
Which rules, because the whole fight was about, man, if he keeps you standing, he's going to ice him. He's going to put him out.
That was like the whole gimmick with GSP for a while. Is like, oh, dude, if he can keep this fight standing, he's just gonna destroy him. It's like, well, yeah, one, you gotta keep the fight standing, and two, like, GSP, one of the few guys who gets the distance and everything, jabs, leg kicks, just timing and whatnot. And yeah, Dan Hardy didn't have a chance in that fight. Puncher's chance. That's like it. There's so many title fights sold on that puncher's chance.
The thing is with Dan was, like, he wasn't, like, he knocked some guys out, but, like, he wasn't, like, a huge puncher, really, either. Like, if you look at his record,
No.
I'm pretty sure most of his wins were on points. I know that he stopped Dwayne Ludwig, and he stopped, like, Rory Markham or someone. But, like, other than that, like, he beat Swick on points, he beat Davis on points. Like, he wasn't like Paul Daly, for example, was a knockout artist. Is a knockout artist, right? He hits guys, they go down. Dan Hardy wasn't, like, really that. But anyway, what a way to start this show. This is, well...
You know who else tried, Joseph?
Yeah, I do. Go ahead.
Nikki Ash tried, Joseph.
Yeah. See, here's the thing, firstly. We need to decide, are we allowed to call her that? Because they don't call her that. Charlotte called her it, but Jimmy Smith was saying Nikki A.S.H. Nikki A.S.H.
I don't know. I didn't pay attention to the damn commentary. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. So I wore this shirt today, as you'll see, Jeremy. I don't know if the people can see this.
Yeah, there you go.
You see this?
Yeah, you can see it.
So hang on a second. I wore this to show that I am, in fact, pro the Nicola Cross. Actually good.
And I get it. You guys
Greg
are
Carr
trolls.
subscribe.
That's your whole
Is it
gimmick.
Greg Carr? Did I just imagine that?
No, I'm pretty sure it's Greg Carr.
Greg, whether your name's Carr or not, we appreciate the subscription. Thanks, pal. I'm a fan of Nicola. I'm happy that she's doing what she wants to do. But with all due respect, we need to discuss last night, because I did not watch Raw. I watched the last 15 minutes of Raw, and in my time, I've seldom seen an assassination. As violent as this, as aggressive with it. Like, this was like sinister almost, right? So, how do we tackle this, Jeremy? Do you want to get some of your thoughts out? Do you want to should we explain what happened for the people that don't watch? I don't know. What do we do here?
My thoughts are simply that I've been watching kind of like the end of Raw, just, for the Becky moment, right? That's why everybody's watching Raw at this point. You had the scoop last night, Joseph, that Becky was going to come back.
It's Greg Carter, guys. Sorry, Greg. I apologise. You'll now just be Greg to me, because I don't want to mess up your last name. Thank you for the subscription. Carry on, Drew. I had the scoop. Sources said.
Yeah. So like, that was honestly, like, once they announced the triple threat match for SummerSlam, it felt kind of likely that, like, Becky isn't coming back, right? At least until SummerSlam, because if she'd be back, you'd do that match. Regardless, I watched this just to see what they ended up doing. And boy, Charlotte just gave absolutely nothing. Just anytime Nikki was trying to do anything, Charlotte just cut her off immediately, kicked the shit out of her. Like, really kicked the shit out of her.
Chopped the shit in a way I've never seen. I have never seen any female wrestlers, especially, chest mark up the way Nikki's did. After this. Nikki looked like she had fought Tajiri in 2000. She was her poor chest, man.
It was bad. Like, when she was sitting there in the corner and her chest was just red as shit, I was like, oh man, she got a really. Nikki kept putting her hands up, so her chest was getting chopped. Like, no, protect your chest. What are you doing? Get destroyed out here. Let her hit you in the face. Your chest is getting marked the hell up.
Shit. That hands up shit is the funniest stuff they do, right? Have you seen Carl Anderson's story about that with like the Usos or whoever he's talking about? He's like you're in the corner, and like the referee screamed, "Hands up, hands up!" And it's like the guy who's throwing the punches is pissed because the referee's shouting at him, so he just starts whacking you as hard as you're just in the corner trying your best not to get beaten. Like it's a shoot fight. Poor Nikki's probably getting told to get her hands up, and she's probably thinking what you was thinking. I need to get my hands down. She's chopping the shit out.
Oh man, just cut her off at every single pass. Nikki got like 2 offensive moves. Just rolls through her finish like it's nothing. Pins her, and it's like, sure, like you expected Nikki to lose, right? Like I don't think anybody went into that match when it was announced and be like, oh yeah, Nikki's gonna win this match. It was pretty obvious Nikki was gonna lose. I didn't think it'd be to that degree, but then at the same time, I wasn't shocked it was to that degree. Dude, that post match was just an all-time murder. Like just an all-time murder of I almost won. Like, I know I can beat you. I'm almost a winner. It's like, you got this shit kicked out of you. Like, I don't want to see this match again. Charlotte's just, like, sitting there laughing at her, making fun of her and everything.
And then beat the shit out of her again.
Yeah, beat the shit out of her again.
By the way, in all seriousness, JJ mentions it here about Nikki not having any merchandise yet. Do you realise they've already got, like, Alexa... What did she call it last night? Alexa thing on Eva? You know, like, the bit she was doing?
I have no idea. I didn't watch that shit.
Guys in the chat, please. Someone help. They did this bit of Alexa and Eva, and they've already got the shirt out one day later. Lily Lucian. Okay, where Lily is Eva, and it's like a parody. They've already made that shirt, Jeremy. Nikki has still not got any shirts or anything. She's got a mask. She's got nothing. What is going on?
Is this a...
Is it a rib? Yes. Seems like it.
WWE, for all their flaws... They're usually good at this, right?
Yes.
Like, they're usually good at, oh, let's market the shit out of this and just pump out a bunch of merchandise that people are going to buy. The fact that there's, like, none for this, it seems like it's sending some type of message. I don't know.
But then, like, she's on, unless something changes, she's on SummerSlam.
Plans change, pal.
Do you think she won't be on SummerSlam?
Would it shock me if... Like,
it wouldn't shock you if anything happened on SummerSlam, dude. Right. Look at the card, it's chaos.
Like, would it be shocking if, Nikki just... Like, honestly, if Nikki... is next week a title match? Does anybody know?
It's a Champions Contender match, Jeremy.
Oh, it's that fucking... She already beat the champion. What are we doing?
But Jeremy, Eddie Kingston and Penta beat the Young Bucks on TV once, so they should do it every week 3 times, because it's the same thing. It's exactly the same. It's all good. Don't worry about it, man. Trust the process. Listen, I want to be clear about this. I mean this sincerely. I want Nikki Cross to make as much money as she can, and I hope she has fun with her shit. Silly Soccer Saturdays with the 10 bits, I believe. Let me get my... Here. Yes, I can't see how much they cheered. I'm sorry, it cuts off on my screen. But the point is, I hope she makes as much money as possible, having as much fun as possible. She rules. I don't like the gimmick. I think there's an audience for it. However, I cannot pretend this was good television, what they did last night, because it was just terrible. And it hurt her tremendously because they want to book her as an underdog, even though they've already given her the belt, which is, like, incredible. Like, the easiest stuff. For once, they had a character that should be an underdog, and they're like, nah, she's going to just win the belt immediately. So, I don't know, man. It's a mess. It has been a mess for the longest, and now the new one is, well, the draft's coming soon, so don't worry, everything will be figured out. Like, the draft's just going to make SmackDown worse. That's always going to happen with the draft. And I don't even watch SmackDown, but like everyone says SmackDown's good. The draft will just make that show worse because Raw needs help. It is nothing to do with what's coming out. It's not the crowd, ain't the draft. It is a creative system that is completely corrupted. I mean completely destroyed internally. To have a babyface like Nikki, who's already fighting uphill because she's playing, and let's be honest, Jeremy, she's playing an 80s character in 2021. And to do this to her, I think it's just pitiful. And I know that everyone would say, well, she's the champ, or everything's okay, but it's like, man, there was no need for any of that. That was just wrong. And I don't know if Charlotte's to blame, by the way, guys. So I'm just telling you that I've watched her since she came back. She ain't selling for anyone.
No.
So, and everyone just like hides and doesn't talk about it. Bud Bryan with the 22 bits says SummerSlam, you'll never see it coming if you're watching on Peacock. Listen, I am not trying to hate on Charlotte or anything like that. I'm just telling you that I'm befuddled as to why I'm reading all this shit about her being the GOAT and she's this and she's that. And it's like, brother, I'm waiting for her to sell.
How dare you, Joseph? She is the
I'm
GOAT.
against Rhea Ripley. She had a very good match in which she worked as the babyface. To me, that's a flawed match. I'm sorry, it is. It was exciting, but she was firing up like Hulk Hogan.
She is Hulk Hogan.
I don't honestly. I think it's one. I'll be honest with you, Jeremy. I think she seems like a very, very nice person, and the same goes for Seth frickin' Rollins. But that dynamic where it feels like I'm being lectured by the people they push is like legitimately a big part of why I don't want to watch.
Fair.
You know, like I have no, I have no connection to this character, but they're literally their response to me is she's really good though. So I'm just supposed to be like, yeah, cool, man, bring it up. Like, it's not a real sport.
It is. Like, did you see my tweet today?
I didn't see it. What was your tweet?
I love how you were just immediately disappointed. Like, oh shit! What stupid tweet did Jeremy have to pop himself? It's very much real sports because you just get attached to your favorite and they just lose and lose and lose on the hope that they win a championship and they win a title and maybe you're happy and then they just lose a bunch again. It's just like real sports.
Yeah, that's true, which is definitely not the idea of escapism entertainment. But I'll say this, man. Look, if you're an NBA fan and you found like LeBron to be boring, like, okay, I get losing interest because he's in the finals every year, right? Like, I understand it. This is pro wrestling, man. If I find this character boring for this long, I would like them to do something different with that character. I'm sorry, I know I'm old school in that sense, but good lord,
they hit the tweak gimmick button on the TEW. You know, when the character's getting stale, instead of actually like changing the character or anything or doing something different,
they don't even do that much.
They do the tweak the gimmick because she comes out and then she's like really leaning in to the opportunity stuff, Joseph, which she's been doing, but again, like, you tweak it a little bit. That's it.
Awful television. Felt bad for Nikki. You know, Nikki is. She's become segment. It was brutal, but she's become the new face of like, hey guys, don't whine, do what Nikki did and just go and pitch stuff to Vince. It's like, okay, man, like, okay, we'll see how this ends up because I ain't got no faith in them treating her right because this is what they do. But we're supposed to have a lot of confidence in the, the creative morality of the World Wrestling. By the way, I wanted to say this also because I didn't watch, but I saw it on Twitter, and you know those guys that did Retribution. Yeah. Not enough time is talking about like genuinely, like they actually damaged multiple careers to pop themselves for that, and that's like all bits aside, we know the truth there, Jeremy, right? Not even a scoop, it's like we know the deal, right? Like, we're smart enough, we figure out what's going on there. People in the chat know what they were trying to do with that gimmick, and like legitimately they have halted at least 4 careers, right? Like Dijakovic was a guy, I've never been a big Dijakovic guy, he was a guy that people liked. Yeah. He's a complete nothing now. I don't know what Mace or Dio Madden was ever going to be, but he's, God forbid. Yim, bless her cotton socks, vanished. And Ali is, you can't even say it ruined Ali's career because like they were going to do this to him anyway. They just don't see anything in him, right? So, yeah. But like, the point is all of this stuff we can lose in conversation. It's actually changing people's lives and making their value infinitely lower because it would be funny to do that in the middle of a, social conversation. But nonetheless. Anything else on Raw?
I don't remember Raw. I legit just remember that last segment. I don't know. The Hurt Business, that happened. That was a thing. Bobby Lashley just killed those guys, I think. I think that's what happened on that segment. That's what people tell me. I didn't watch
They're getting back together. It's all a swerve.
Yeah, Joseph.
They're going to...
They're banned from ringside, so they're kicked out of the Hurt Business. So when they interfere... It's not the Hurt Business interfering, and they're gonna get back together. That's exactly what's gonna happen. Ow!
What just happened?
I just kicked my computer.
I heard the noise and I just said, "Ow!"
Oh man,
that was Bruce getting to you, bro. Robert O'Neill said, "Owned." Wow, Bob shooting from the hip.
You know what?
Okay.
I was banning a bunch of people yesterday. We're gonna do it again.
Oh no, not Bob.
No, Colby. I'm sick of Colby with his hockey takes. I'm done with it. I'm done with Colby.
Okay,
O'Neill as well. done with O'Neill. Just banned. Joel Pearl's here. He'll come play White Knight and save all of you guys, but I'm banning you.
Okay, Jeremy. Should we review some matches, or should I review some matches and then send them to you to say, He was pretty good.
Well, I know what your um, matches are. So I saw them on Twitter. They're
Yeah,
on the article. So I know what they are. I've seen. I told you I was there for one of them, and you know how
you
much
were.
I love another one of them.
This should go well, shouldn't it, Jeremy?
I
We have
mean,
some.
most of
We
my
have some
comments will still just be, yeah, that was pretty good. But
okay, but before we move on, do we have anything else to hit on this God forbidden Raw broadcast? We should leave it there, right?
yeah, I don't know what else happened on the
Let's not
show.
talk about it anymore.
Okay.
Let's just leave it. It sucks. Okay, folks. Up first, I'm very poorly prepared for this show, to be quite frank. I believe Kirby is here in the chat. I saw him earlier, and I'm pretty sure this is his match. Kirby, if this is not, tell me
I'll
so I
tell
can
you.
change that.
What's the match?
This is the Beast in the East KO and Balor match. I believe it's Kirby.
This was picked by, yes, Kirby.
There you go. Good job, Kirby. Okay, I didn't catch any of GCW, Blood Run. I was, wasn't watching the Graps this week, but I want to watch Cardona at least. So yeah, Turbo Suicida, you can suggest matches. I think the best way to do it is probably DM me on like Patreon. That's probably the best way at this point. Unless you're not a patron, in which case, just DM me on Twitter and like I don't know if you can prove you're a Twitch subscriber, but I don't really care. Just DM me. Finn Balor, Kevin Owens, Beast in the East. This is an idea and a show that I think people remember very fondly, Jeremy. Right? Like people really, yeah, me too. Like it was saying, we talk about a lot about what the network could have been. I think this is a match, is a little snapshot of like, man, this could have been a lot more fun than they let it be. Right? Like just cool events around the world. With one, let's be honest, it has one feature match plus an attraction in Brock. But it's just basically, here's WWE in Japan. Have some fun with it. Interesting show. Okay, so the first two matches of this show included 5 people, Jeremy. It was a singles match with the guys, and it was a Divas title triple threat. One person is left standing. You have no way of guessing who this is, but like you should guess who it is because it's the answer to all of these questions. Who is the one person left standing?
Charlotte Flair.
Tamina.
Tamina.
Always. The first 2 matches of this show are Jericho and Neville, which is like, wow, interesting. And
yeah,
that's Paige, Nikki Bella, and Tamina. Oh, weird, right? Like it's
very weird.
I don't know. Do you know what main evented this show, Jeremy?
I guess Brock and Kofi wasn't the main event, was it?
No.
Hold on.
I don't think you're gonna get this, Jeremy.
What's the match type? Like singles, tag?
It's a tag match.
Tag match. Okay. The Good Brothers. I don't know if they're there yet at this point. They were close because Finn was there, so they had to be
they're
close.
like 6 months away.
Okay. Fuck. No. I'm not gonna get it.
It is the match of Bad News Barrett and Kane against his John Cena and Dolph Ziggler.
I was gonna say Cena just because I figured he worked this. I would not have guessed that was that was what it actually was, though.
Well, Jeremy, they went 23 minutes.
Really?
I watched that match. I had to see what 23 minutes this looked like. Oh my god, dude! Dolph took like 4 heat segments in this match. It was unbearable.
What do you think the rating was on this?
The start, like what, Dave or cage match?
I mean, we can go both.
I'd imagine Dave give it like 2 because Cena, and I'd imagine cage match has it like 4.5 or something because like it's mechanically fine.
I'm not even sure this is gonna rate.
No, it might not.
Yeah, it doesn't rate.
It's a house show match, man. Like it's just really long. It didn't feel like it needs
3 minutes.
Yeah, seems bad.
I bet that. Did you watch the Jericho Neville match?
No, I didn't.
Oh, I bet that was good.
I think it was, right?
It said it got 16 minutes. It got 4 stars from Dave.
Oh, that sounds like Jericho calling Dave and being like, "Wow, what a match tonight, huh, Dave?" And he's like, "Yeah, I really like Balor and Owens." And he's like, "What about mine, Dave? Really good, I thought."
I want to know what Jericho gave that match in his book.
4 3/4, definitely. There's got to be some inflation around his own ratings, but nonetheless, Brandy Rose is the announcer here too, which is fun. Revisiting this made me realise this demon shtick was just never my thing. I think that's fine. You know, look, the demon was like a good way of getting Finn over with kids, and I think that's really cool. And I definitely think there's just an audience in general for it. But like me personally, I would much rather Finn just come out in a leather jacket and beat people up. But nonetheless, I can't see what you're doing because you're doing it to the other camera. So good, thank you. That's really good, dude. We need to make that V trigger. I only have a serious conversation about that. Everyone remembers the famous GIF or GIF or whatever of KO being given the flowers as part of like the pre-match ceremony, and him just flinging them into into the rat, right? Which rule? It is great that they allowed the presentation to like really be authentic here, and you have the streamers, and like it's just cool with little things, right? Big jump start from Balor. They have a little miscommunication along the way, but basically the idea of the match is Kevin does not want to be in Tokyo at all. He hates that he's even there wrestling right now. Finn is, you know, the returning hero, so to speak, and it's just this simple contrast of like mindset, and Finn's all over him early on. At this point, and I kind of had forgotten this, but like Kevin Owens' character, he's like, yes, he's the prize fighter, and yes, he's kind of like a psychopath, but he's also like master wrestler, man. Like, do you remember when he wrestled Cena, Jeremy, and he would do like 101 counters to everything, and they'd be like, man, this guy's, you know, like he wrestled in Ring of Honor, he must be like fucking Bryan Danielson. That's what they do like a lot in this time, and it's interesting because I think he's way away from that now. Like he's just like a brawler now, which is cool. I prefer it, but nonetheless, he does this big counter, looks great, and yes, I'm crazy. Michael Cole is fabulous on this show, and the NXT UK shows, the ones that people always go. That's what he can do without production, man. Like he can still go. Not even the still. That's like his best stuff. But nonetheless, big counter puts him in control. I have to say, Kevin is a terrific wrestler. One of the greats, but not a guy I particularly enjoy when he's in control of stuff. You know, I mean, the Headlock City thing, it became a bit, but like it's a real thing that he does in these. It's a real thing he does in these matches, and he does it here. Now, and to be fair, Balor is always fighting back here. He's always kind of scrapping. So there's these hope spots that make up for Kevin's kind of lack of ideas, effectively scattered throughout the match, which is a good thing. But they do eventually set them to a headlock, which they sit into for a couple minutes, which is not ideal. Kevin does the thing where he talks about being in a headlock, which is always good. They go into Finn's comeback eventually. It's kind of staggered where they spread it out. At one point, KO does the 5 moves. You know, John's 5 moves, Jeremy, because this is when he's feuding with Big Match John. Known observer, subscriber John Cena. He does all that stuff. But as you'd expect, like knowing these two guys, right? This match peaks when it's them two going back and forth and trading their like coolest moves and doing sequences and all that stuff, because that's the best version of these two wrestlers at this time. Babyface Finn is best in that scenario, and heel Kevin is. Now, the version of these two that could have wrestled last year could have had a very different match with Finn in control, but that's a different thing. We'll never get now. So, nonetheless, Balor's rolling, big dive, 1916, all that good stuff. Kevin fires back some of his own big moves. There is a great visual later on where Finn goes up for his finish and Kevin like hooks him. Rather than doing like a push off the top rope or a move, he just grabs a hold of him in a way of like he's holding on to the belt. That's what Cole suggests. Like he's holding on to the match. And when Finn breaks free and hits his finish anyway, it feels like a natural conclusion to the match. But Kevin kicked out, which I have to say, Jeremy, I don't remember many people kicking out the coup de grace.
I don't think many people have.
Yeah, like, and he did it here, and I didn't remember the match kind of having that extension to it. But he did. Balor goes through the gears, and he's really got a desperation now, right? His paint that probably took 10 hours is slowly fading. Kevin is just trying to survive, but again, one of those big counters I was talking about earlier keeps him in it, and the place is now rocking. That famous, we haven't heard it in a long time, Jeremy. You know that raw, like Japanese crowd excitement where you can hear the feet stomping and all that good stuff.
Oh, I heard it at the Tokyo Dome show.
Whatever you did, but you know they're not like, it's not like a no Okada Tanahashi. Like they've got some of that because the people care and they're having fun with it. Owens is now desperate himself, goes up, big swanton bomb, which is always hilarious when he does that. It's blocked. Bloody that people go crazy for. That's a near fall at the end. Then they trade some moves and Balor like strings he's like killer combination together. It does his whole sequence, sling blade, drop kick, all that good stuff. Hits his finish, wins the belt to a pretty triumphant reaction. I have no idea what the read on this was at the time, because I just don't know if I was in the dialogue or the discourse, but I don't know if it was an upset because Kevin was right on the main roster. It was more like, well, he has to drop the belt at some point. But either way, this crowd was fired up about it. And it was a really cool way to do a title change in a fashion that people will always remember. I think people will always remember Finn winning the belt in Tokyo, which is awesome, man. You don't get to do that often these days. So, I apologise. So, Jeremy, very good match here for the NXT title. Definitely kind of a snapshot of the time. A different era for WWE for sure. Any memories of Beast in the East, and then in particular, Finn and KO?
I remember waking up early to watch this because it was on. I think it was on like a decent time, like maybe like 7 or something, which is better than the New Japan shows nowadays. But I remember waking up early to watch it and just enjoying it just overall as like a show because it was something different. Like you're right in that like this is sort of what the network like it had glimpses of what it could be. Right, like these kind of just like special one-offs, and they did this with Starrcade and Smashville or whatever. Like they did these little specials. They didn't utilize them nearly enough. And but as far as this match goes, I do remember enjoying it. I remember being a little bit shocked that Balor had won since Owens was on the main roster and feuding with Cena, and like you said, like he had to drop the title at some point. And Finn in Japan, like good call, right? Like it's tough to do kind of much better than that. And it made this show feel special. So when they did do these specials again, it's like, oh man, you got to like tune into these because you might actually miss something. I do remember the match being good, and that's always my commentary for every match. Good match.
It's interesting. I might be wrong in saying this, Drew. Wasn't this supposed to be Kenta's spot? I think it was. I think it's supposed to be a Deo.
Maybe it was.
Because that like reshapes the whole of NXT.
Well, the thing about him, Joseph, is he couldn't stay healthy. So
yeah, I've heard. But like he's the face of the brand when it grows. Like he's this him and Bailey as kind of touring champs. They are NXT to me. That's the guy, the pair I think of. So it's just interesting thing about. But no, it's a very good match. Good pick by Kirby. I was happy to revisit it. I hadn't seen it, probably more than once. So it was very good. I do think they could have a better match, like now, maybe not now, but again, like last year, if they'd have done something in NXT or something, I think they could have been a better match. But in these roles, very, very good match. Now, what I love about our audience, Jeremy, the amount of variety we get on these things, Like we just did a WWE show in Tokyo. Now we're heading to New York City for a Progress show. CCK, LAX. I don't believe I've seen this, but I was excited. CCK, for those not unaware, is the Chris Brookes and John Gresham, who is in place of Kid Lycos. So that's the situation. We've got Santana and Ortiz as LAX, John Gresham on the other side. I can roll with that. That works for me. Kent was jumped shortly before the show. Yes, Kent. They did the parking lot angle.
Yeah,
I think he was supposed to be in it. How did Kent keep getting injured in NXT but has remained relatively injured? Well. There's a couple of reasons for that. One is just this bad luck, but the other thing is like they made him wrestle big green dipshits in NXT, and that's not ideal. That's one part.
You heard about this thing called the Performance Center?
I've heard. Anyway, this card, by the way, is progression card. It has the grizzled young vets. It has the Riddle. It has Mustache Man. It has Darn. It has Brody King. It has Eddie Kingston. There's a different time in the business. Business has changed, as Jeremy told me many times ago. Now, anyway.
I told that to Dave Meltzer yesterday.
Sorry to hear that. Very, very sorry to hear that.
I got too many followers. He won't reply to me.
Cass is a big Dave Meltzer fan these days. None of you knew that, Jeremy. Big Dave. Yeah. One thing I will say, Jonathan Gresham's been great as long as I've watched him. But, like, he's really physically filled out in a way that I didn't appreciate until I went back and watched this. Like, he's beefed up a lot, dude. He's obviously a small guy, but like his frame now it's a lot more impressive. It didn't stand out to me before I watched this. But there you go. As you would expect, Santana and Ortiz are incredibly over in New York. But in fairness, the Brookes and the Gresham aren't even that far behind. This match has just got a hot audience, and it allows them to kind of ease into things. And then by the end of it, they're running wild. So here we go. Santana and Gresham gets underway. That's as good as you'd expect it to be. There's this kind of dynamic with Santana, like proving he can hang on the mat, but he adds like a little bit of flair to his stuff, which explains why Gresham's struggling so much. Gresham, a guy who theoretically is by the book, kind of being outfought a little bit by Santana, which then leads him to, as most men do in a stalemate, Jeremy, he punches Santana in the balls, which is fair. Ortiz comes in, he puts him back in control, and they do this awesome blind tag cut off where Gresham does a big German suplex, and fuck, Jonathan Gresham rules so much. If you're in this chat, you've never seen Jonathan Gresham, throw him in the YouTube gimmick and have some fun. He is tremendous. The arrogant little shit, he's having fun there, and he gets himself in a chop exchange, which inevitably goes poorly. So what does he do, Jeremy? He punches Santana in the dick. He's done this twice now. He is not their target, though, believe it or not, as hilarious as that would be. Instead, they go after Santana's knee, although it would have been funnier if they did a heat segment exclusively on his dick. They did not do that. They did it on his knee instead. If I have one criticism of the match, it's relatively brief. This is not the dick part, the knee part. It could have... I would have extended it, but instead... Good one, Joel. But instead... Santana hits his like little roll through cutter gimmick, resets things with a double down, and in comes Ortiz for the hot tag. The momentum keeps swinging, and at this point, I trust the Gurney Mac because he always gives me good ones, and we talk a lot in the DMs, and I was thinking this is good, but it feels kind of like any old indie dream match tag bout. Everyone's doing their shit, they're going back and forth. There's not much in terms of structure or ideas here. It's just a lot of cool moves. Then there's like a shift. So things are escalating, they're all in their cool moves, and there's a big false finish and people are rocking. And then when LAX are running wild, Santana just like falls down from his leg from the work on the knee. Now again, I'll be critical. I think they should have done more on this because I think it would have made this part better. But I get you have to serve for many different masters here. So you want to give him the indie dream match, but you also want to have this narrative. But Santana commits so much to it. Like, he can't move. He's not walking anymore with this leg. It's incredible. So that cuts him off, and Gresham takes advantage, goes with an ankle lock. And now the match logically becomes like a matter of isolation. Like Gresham and Brookes going after Santana because he's got this bad leg, and they're doing everything they can. They have a weak link to target, and they're relentless on it. And all that happens is Ortiz will make these like fleeting saves. Like, he'll dart in and out. And the people pop more and more every time. With every single kick out, Gresham and Brookes get even more aggressive. And the place is like... It goes from just being like, this is awesome, because, it's the action's good and stuff, to being like a desperation for their guys, Santana and Ortiz, to kind of... to come out of this one with the belt. So it really gets red hot. And I think it's just a credit to Santana's selling and the aggression of the John Gresham and the Chris Brookes. So I get why... As we get headed into the final stretch, I get why this stood out to Gurney Mac. And others, it got a very high rating on the cage match, as far as I saw, Jeremy. What else have we got here? One of these near falls, they do like 4 straight. Like those modern tag sequences we see these days on every Dynamite, Jeremy, where everyone hits their moves like 4 in a row. Yes. They do one of those. Santana kicks out without Ortiz's help, and the place explodes for it. And I was thinking, man, like, if you're going to do one of those kick-outs that's kind of... I don't say logical, but it's kind of reaching a little bit or testing the boundaries. You want it to get the reaction it's got. Like a holy shit on a kick out is good.
Like if you tombstone somebody on a barbed wire chair and they kick out, you definitely want that big reaction.
You'd like people to react to that. You'd rather them not to be like, oh, it would be ideal if they made any sound. Then again, wrestling fans apparently are bad, so maybe not. Maybe you want to sit there quiet. Anyway. What we got here? Santana fires up. He's awesome in this role, dude. Facing Bro. I haven't actually seen him do this a lot, which made it even more fun. I think we're going to get some of it tomorrow night against FTR. Though. I feel like he's going to be firing up quite a bit in that scenario. So he rallies. Ortiz comes back in. Now LAX like almost steal one with some tandem offense, and there's this sense in the building of like this is their moment. If they don't win now, they're never going to win. The audience reacts accordingly. They just can't close the deal, and then eventually. Gresham's isolated some. Brookes comes in, helps him out. He comes down to him and Santana. He goes after the leg, gets a submission, and they did the very dramatic, the revival DIY finish, Jeremy, where both guys tap. They're like holding each other's hands.
Yes.
It's not that because they're baby faces, but it's very much like Ortiz is trying to save him and he just can't. Santana taps out, and the place is genuinely like they're bummed at the result, which I think is a real effort in a match that again effectively. At this point, I know they expand on it later, but at this point, it's just like, here's a cool match. And they made them really care about the results. So, tremendous match, great pick by Gurney. And he's actually said to me, like, this is a series that we're going to go revisit a few times. So, Jeremy, I'm going to assume you haven't seen this, but, like, you like 3 of the men involved, right? Or how?
Yes, I got an 8.96 on Cage Match, by the way.
That's very good.
Yeah, yeah. I like 3 men involved. I haven't seen enough of Chris Brookes to like really make a judgment on him. So, but big fan of Gresham. I'm a big fan of the Proud and the Powerful. Maybe I'd watch this match if I liked wrestling.
I wouldn't go that far.
Okay.
Yeah, I love that stuff like that said on this show, and everyone's just like, "That's what I say, guys." It's just accepted at some point. One of us will be like, "Well, maybe it sucks. Maybe wrestling's bad," but sometimes it can be good. By the way, what did it get? What did your match with Ricocchino get? Ricocchino get at SmackDown on Cage Match?
Oh, I'm pretty sure it broke the scale.
We ain't talk about this.
Okay, what do you want to talk about?
So look, I understand you know. I appreciate that you commit to bits and you follow through on them. You can't be wiping out families. You can't. I'm sorry. Listen, I never police you. I let you do your ideas and I just roll with it. I cannot go on Twitter and see you knocking over families with a V trigger. And poor Rick, like, he looked like he nearly fell down. Did you see his face on the V when he took the V trigger? He went like this. Bro, I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't know what you want me to say, Jeremy. I was worried. I watched him. I was like, maybe we're finished. Maybe this is the end. Maybe we're cancelled.
Joseph, I'm telling people I'm gonna V trigger them. I'm not lying about this stuff. All right. I don't just say these things on these shows and tweets and whatnot and then not follow through on it. I'm not a fucking coward like that, like some people. If I tell you I'm gonna V trigger you, I'm gonna do it.
Okay, full disclosure. I am a coward and I'll not be V-triggering anyone. I may do a magic killer with Jeremy if we can get Bob O'Neill up for it. I ain't doing no running. And you did the point and everything?
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude.
I got the curtain call footage. I'm gonna post on distraction choice.
Oh god. I could. But that dude's face was just like, what is happening in front of me?
So here's the thing. I'll tell her. I'll give a behind the scenes here. So I met Rick before the show had started. We locked eyes and we were sitting across the section. We locked eyes and we just knew we had to just meet in the middle there. And so before the show started, we were just talking. I met Carlos as well. Carlos Toro, Fightful legend. And we were just talking and I was like, so you're going to let me do the V-trigger to you, right? He's like, yeah, we'll set it up. And I was like, all right, well, I've never actually done it, so how do you want to do it? He's like, just like kind of hit me like square in the chest and I'll sell for it. I was like, okay, cool. I was like, we'll film something after the show's over and it kind of clears out a little bit. We'll just do it in the little concourse area here. He's like, all right. And then, so we talked about it. We watched the show. We get back. And he's like, I got to do the Sports Kita show, the post show with SP3 and Dutch Fantel. And I was like, okay, cool. He's like, do you want to do the V-trigger while I'm on the show? And then I'll fall down and you take the phone and you just like, I took him out. Like, just do whatever you want to do. And I was like, so I'm going to do it while you're on the air. He's like, yeah. I was like, okay, sounds good. And he's sitting there. We're at a charging station table and he's just doing the show and, fans are clearing out and everything. And I was like, go over here where it's like kind of cleared out and then we'll set it all up. He's like, okay. So at some point he walks over there and kind of like gives me like a little signal, whatever, to go. And obviously I didn't see the family behind and I didn't know how he was going to sell it or anything. And I'm just waiting. I'm talking to the EP who's recording it. And then he gives me the signal. So I'm like, all right, here we go. Do the gun point and then I'm off. I hit him. He sold it and he nearly wiped out that family behind him.
Honestly though, dude, you really threw it. Like, you tried to do an actual V trigger.
Yeah, it wasn't great. I gotta work on it a little bit.
But like Kenny Omega has never done a V trigger like that, right?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, it was my own spin on it, I will say.
Yeah. You adjusted it more than Buddy Murphy does. He just does it from real. He's like, that's what it looks like. You did like a whole you did like a lunge, like you was fucking like it was kind of Masvidal-esque. It was like a really threw yourself into it, but nonetheless, I'm glad we talked to that because it's been a long time since we did a show, so I forget these things happen. But yeah,
That's
SmackDown, huh? Was that a good show?
that's not the end of myself, the feud between myself and Riccino.
Wow, sorry to hear that. How much fun did you have at SmackDown, Jeremy?
It was honestly a really good show. Did you see my video where I was singing John Cena's theme?
I didn't. I don't want to see that either. I saw that you got a Dolph Ziggler match that wasn't on TV. That's very good.
Yeah, so it was weird because, we're just sitting there and we think this is what's going on the show. And then people are like, we didn't get this. I was like, huh? And they're like, oh, this is when they showed the Rolling Loud stuff. I was like, oh, well, at least we didn't have to sit there and watch a screen for 30 minutes. It was just a straight, house show match. And that, looking back, it makes sense now. Like, oh, yeah, it was a house show match, not a television match. Dolph, Big E, knocks him down, right? Or Dolph hits the finish. Dolph gets hit with the finisher buffet, right? He does the swing. Cesaro swings him, and so Big E tags in, and Big E's waiting to do the big ending. Dolph is dizzifying, walking around, hugging the ref and everything. This is legit. This goes on for 2 minutes of Dolph just where am I type of thing, selling this swing. And then he sees Big E and he shakes his hand and everything. He's like, we're good. And then Big E hits him with the big ending. Just complete house show stuff. But it was tremendous. Dolph is great. It. Dolph is so fucking good.
He's maybe the biggest example of a guy that when all of this generations of dudes tell their stories, his rep will go up so much because he's just great, man. He's a dude that makes everyone look good. You know what I mean? No one has a bad word to say about him, right? He's one of those dudes. He's a pro. JJ said he's a pro. That's what he is. People give him shit because the creative has killed him and no one cares about him. But that dude still pops people. He goes and entertains them. He's not.
Oh yeah.
He's cynical and bitter, but never. To me, his performance is always fun. He always tries to entertain people, and that's all you can do. But there you go. Hopefully that match gets added to YouTube or the network, Jeremy, so we don't lose it from the Dolph Ziggler tape libraries.
Probably not.
Okay. Speaking of lost matches, our next one comes from the Mark of Misery, good friend of mine, and he suggested this. And this is a liar. This is a good one. This is an interesting match to talk about with what AEW's doing now, and I want to get into that some. But this is 1989 WCW television. Eddie Guerrero at 21. This is 4 or 5 years before longer than that, dude. 6 years before he turns out in WCW again. Here he is wrestling Terry Funk in Terry Funk's first match in the territory after shooting the big angle with Flair. He's done a little stuff with Dusty. He's been semi-active in 89. This is his first match in WCW, and this match has a whole mythology to it. Recently, our friend Uncle Dave Meltzer has been using it as an example of why Kenny Omega's actually good, because he got that guy hired. Who did he wrestle, Jeremy, that he gave a lot of offense to that got hired?
Omega? Was it Alan Angels?
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean that's this. I got confused because I remember that 10 did some stuff. So, okay, so Alan Angels, Dave's recently been using this example of that's how good Kenny is, because Terry tried to do it with Eddie Guerrero and failed, which were all very similar situations. Anyway, Eddie is 21 here. He appears to be 14. He looks outrageously young in this. Bless him. He looks, no B+ player. I'm not going to get involved in that, folks, because apparently we have to have a conversation about whether or not Eddie Guerrero is good. But he is very, very young here. But Terry has decided that in his first match in the territory, he's going to feature Eddie. He's going to give him some shit. I do wonder if we're going to get these matches. If one day, it's 2030, and Lee Johnson's the top guy, and we're hey, do you remember when he did a job for fucking Luchasaurus or whoever? I don't know, man. There's some weird matches that come out of these you see the Hardy Boys. They work in squash matches in the mid-90s, right?
Yeah.
It's always fun, this stuff, but this is obviously an ultimate example because this is a dream match that just happened in a studio in WCW, center stage, I'm pretty sure. So, nonetheless, early on they do this deal. This is a short match, which is why the Mark of Misery suggested it, because he agrees that wrestling sucks. But early on, Eddie is like, Terry will corner Eddie, he'll go for a chop, and Eddie will just evade. Like, he's too quick for Terry. And with each chop that he misses, Terry gets more pissed off at this little shit for moving away from all of his stuff. Then Eddie gets some offense in, does like a quick kick or something, and Terry flies out to the floor. And he's like, he can't believe that this is even like a match he's having to wrestle, let alone the fact that he's kind of getting his ass kicked. Eddie's doing like his little roll throughs, he's doing his forward rolls like he's at the PC, Jeremy. And Terry's like, what's all this shit? And he doesn't believe in the forward rolls, obviously. But eventually he like pins him in the corner. He's like, okay, I'm not going to make any doubt of it this time. I'm going to put him here, I'm going to chop him. And he does it, he lands his first chop. And then he catches Eddie soon after that. And he does like the Cesaro swing, but if Cesaro was like 400 times less athletic and very drunk. That's what it looks like. And it rolls. Like Terry's like just spinning and like falling at the ropes. It's wonderful. There's a sense of real like spite and nastiness to Terry here, as he's like angry that he's even being tested, and he's also at this point very much establishing that he is like a lunatic. Like, that's what this character is. He's out of his mind. All of this has come from the fact that Rick disrespecting him in his mind. So like that dynamic is at play while he's trying to make Eddie too, which is tremendous. But Guerrero keeps getting out of the way, man. He keeps moving, evading, all that good stuff. He scores some more offense, and then Funk, like almost luckily, he's like just quick enough to move out the way of a drop kick, and it's very much framed as though Terry is like surviving here. Like he's fucked. He's way too slow for young Eddie. He's just trying to get through it. And I think that is kind of like, I think Terry was smart enough and was self-aware enough to kind of, in this 89 run, he's very much dangerous. But it's kind of part of the thing is like he is kind of washed. Now in reality, I think this is the best he ever was performance-wise. But like Flair beats him both times, basically clean, in when they have their actual matches. Steamboat, I'm pretty sure that's like they do a DQ finish where Terry's losing and he has to use a gimmick. So he was self-aware enough to know like he is an older guy, and that's part of the story they're telling. So that's at play even here in this basically an enhancement match. He's decided he's not going to be there. So he's had enough of the bullshit, and he throws Eddie over the top rope, which is illegal, and he basically tests the referee's courage, right? Like, you really going to DQ me here? Not happening. Referee shits himself, like Bob O'Neill at Full Gear. But even with that, man, he still can't take control of this match. Eddie moves out of the way again of the chop, hits a huge dive, and then finally, it's Funk that's a step ahead in the end. He does the final like little dodge, gets out of the way on the floor. Eddie has a big dive to the floor, misses. And then Terry hits the pole driver on the outside, which is obviously what he did to Flair on the table, rolls him in, pins him. And, like, even though in the grand scheme of things, this is just a win on television with Terry, and then in his promo, he's like, I want top 10, I want a contender, I want all this stuff. In a vacuum, you can really see what Terry was trying to achieve. And it's a shame WCW were dipshits and they didn't just give him the book and also signed, Eddie. But really, he does a thing here where, like, the match is basically, the story is as simple as, like, inexperience was Eddie's only issue, and Terry got through it because he cheated, and, like, he kind of lucked out a little bit, right? Like, he got a lucky break at the end there, and the referee wouldn't DQ him and all that good stuff. So it's amazing how giving he was in this match. Because, like, look, physically, guys, I mean, Terry's really skinny here. He talks about Dave calling him out on that in The Observer, and him being very mad, but, like, he really was a giving pro wrestler. And in this setting, I mean, my God, a 21-year-old Eddie Guerrero, he gives him most of the match while he's about to have a big run for WCW. So it's a really cool moment in time. Jeremy, I assume you haven't seen this, but Eddie Guerrero, B+ player or not?
Eddie Guerrero was good. It was pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good?
Yeah, pretty
That
good.
sounds like a B+.
Take that how you want, Joseph.
No comment. Yeah, no comment. B+ is actually good, by the way. I was very pumped when I got B+ for it.
Yeah, right? It's like, fucking right, let's go.
Yes.
C's get degrees, baby.
Gurney Mac says, I watched this match yesterday, my favourite thing was the front was full of 70-year-old women. Yeah, man, the old women in the front row of the territories, like, it's just, it's great. And, like, here, this is still based in the NWA, sorry, to these people, so it's still a thing. And then, like, Terry, like, storms gets in the fans' faces after his wild. Mox reminds me of him, and I can't really explain why. Well, the reason for that, I'd imagine, if man, is that like he wants to remind you of Terry Funk. Like, I don't think you're off base on that, man. I think if Moxley was sitting here, God forbid, we wouldn't be reviewing wrestling matches. But if he was, I think he would say it, right? Like Terry's a huge influence on him, right? I mean, that's when they did a thing in WWE, right? Where like when he was getting
Yeah,
ready to wrestle Brock,
yeah.
Terry like give him the chainsaw or whatever the fuck. Like, there's a lot of influence there, but nonetheless,
It led to a great match.
yeah, that is actually like one of the bigger, like kind of black marks on Brock's big match resume. You know, like if you really think about it, Brock's like a really reliable big match guy. The Roman stuff I don't blame him for because it's like, dude, crowds do what they do, right? Like they
Yeah,
didn't want Roman, but like the Ambrose match actually sucks,
yeah.
which is not ideal.
And it's it's largely because Brock just
Didn't want to play. Yeah,
yeah, he wasn't gonna play.
feels like a Heyman thing to me. Feels like Heyman because when he talks about it, he's like, did he want it bad enough? He actually basically says that stuff, right? Like, well, yeah, I don't know. Ah, fuck it. Brock's retired now anyway, Bob. Live with it.
He's coming back.
He's not, man.
That's
Sources
what
say.
Emil's been telling me for months now.
Can I actually give you my real scoop?
Sure.
Him and Becky Lynch are forming a breakaway promotion. And the booker is the Fiend, Bray Wyatt.
Oh man.
That's what I've heard.
Bray, Becky, and Brock, the big baller basketball wrestling organization.
You could have literally just done Big Baller Wrestling.
Yeah, I know. But I had to throw another B in there. It's got to be 3 Bs.
But you could just do Bray as W.
Oh,
That gives you wrestling, you know?
okay. Shit.
Imagine Bray booking Brock Lesnar. Oh, okay. That was very fun, though. Miz, Mark, and I have talked about that match. Sorry, Mark of Misery have talked about that match, with me before. And, like, it's just, I love that stuff, man. Those little snapshots. To that audience, it means nothing. But in history, like, it's a little case study. It's tremendous. It's wild, by the way, that Terry came in and did that program. And they were just like, we haven't really got anything else for you, man. Like, do you want to, like, do some interviews? Probably should have given him the book. But World Championship Wrestling had another 101 mistakes ahead. So what did that mean? Anyway. Our co-main event is up next. Jeremy, am I right in saying you're at this match? This is the one you were referencing, right? The
Yeah.
CM Punk. Yes.
Yeah, over the limit. It was in Raleigh, North Carolina. I was there.
This is a very famous match, and I think almost all of that fame is due to the fact that it goes before John
Yes,
Cena. And
100%. Yeah.
Yes. So I picked this match as a bit because it's like they're the two names right now. I remember people liked it. Whatever. I haven't watched it probably more than once or twice. Jeremy, I did not realise, like, this match is incredible.
Fucking great, yeah.
I just thought it was like a good match, but like,
No.
it's an all-time. This is a special match, man. This is a classic. So I'm actually going to throw it at you here, Jeremy, before I lose my voice. Any memories of this? This fucking ruled, right?
I mean, I legitimately, I've maybe watched it once. I probably should have, like, gone back and watched it because I knew we were going to talk about it. But I didn't. I remember, look, I remember being very excited for it because I was such a Bryan fan and still am, and like I like Punk as well, and so I was excited for it. I'd seen their stuff on like the Indies and whatnot, so it felt cool to like be there for a big W. Like, this is a title match. Like, this is a world title match. I was
a novel. Right, this wasn't, nowadays it happens every time there's Ring of Honor guys fighting for but this was a big thing. Right. It was like, Punk and Bryan, holy shit.
Exactly. And I remember being upset. I was like, why is this not the main event? And, this is coming from me, a John Cena fan. I was like, why is this not the main event? This is stupid. I don't remember, it might have been both of them, honestly, who have said this, but at least one of them said it. Probably more Punk than Bryan, but I feel like Bryan's like hinted enough at it of like they were just like pissed off that this was not the main event and they were going to go out there and they were just going to do everything they could to tear it down. So it was just like, yeah, this should have been the main event, and fuck this John Cena and John Laurinaitis cage match that ended up headlining. And like they did exactly that, because I remember like once this match was over, I didn't even care for the stupid John Cena match because I figured it was just going to be dumb anyway. But I remember just loving this match. I probably should have rewatched it. I apologize.
You good? You know what it honestly reminded me of? It reminded me of like a Brett classic from the 90s. You know, like
Hmm.
it felt like a classic WWF title match that Brett would made famous, and even just shown to an extent. Like I don't know, man. It felt like the kind of match that should be talked about forever, and obviously because it's on Over the Limit, like,
Yeah.
it's difficult nowadays, and that ain't even a criticism. It's just we talk about it all the time in the news round. Like, if this match happens at SummerSlam 1994 or whatever, it probably lives forever. On Over the Limit 2012, brother, the next night they're doing something else. Like, it's a different time. That's all.
And yeah, it was like,
Um,
yeah, the next night they were doing something else, and it wasn't the main event or anything. It was
yeah.
overshadowed by the Big Show. Like I distinctly remember, like the Big Show came back in that John Cena John Laurinaitis
hmm
match, and it's like this is how we're gonna end this thing. Big Show. Here you go.
Sorry to hear that. Very sorry to hear that. Anyway, you guys were hot for this match, though, Jeremy. I don't like the trading chants was incredible. And you know what I noticed? It was very much a case of, you know how Cena would have like, "Let's Go Cena" would sound like kids,
Yeah.
and Cena sucks would be like the most like edgy teenager sound ever. Dude, that was the case here. Like Punk was getting the kid chants, and the dudes, I assume you were one of them, was like, Daniel Bryan. That was who they were rocking with. So it was interesting that even then, in what like May of 2012. Bryan's already the guy, man. People are already picking Bryan. They love him.
Yeah.
It shows you like how long he was actually over for. Michael Bisley says, "I almost drove 4 hours to watch main event of Johnny Ace." Good decision. Good decision. You ducked that one, pal. Yes. Joe Ross Sapp losing his voice. Did Sean Ross Sapp lose his voice, Jeremy?
I don't know. I don't watch this show.
The same. Kayfabe. Dude, dickhead, like, obnoxious Bryan rules so much. So he comes out and he's throwing these, like, low kicks and he's, like, popping every time he lands on because he thinks he's so awesome. Like, he's just such a dick, Like, he's so naturally dislikable. It's hilarious because his reputation is the most lovable guy ever. But when he wants to be a dick, he can be a real
He's
dick.
so good in, like, any role that you
Yeah.
give him. Like, that's why
The
he's the
greatest.
GOAT.
Yeah, he's the greatest. Man, everything is so tight early in this match. Like, they're trading holds, they're trading strikes, and everything's just crisp. And you told that story, Jeremy. That really makes a lot of sense. Like, everything has a snap where they're like really hitting each other. You know, Punk goes after Bryan's leg early, his left leg, and he goes after it. He stomps the shit out of this thing. He's just kicking ass. At this point, I saw someone in the chat mentioned it. Feel free to show yourself because you're correct. They was like the commentary sucked, dude. Cole and like Lawler are just like talking amongst each other. Like they're just talking amongst themselves. Like just making jokes, inside jokes, like laughing. Booker T's like, "It's a big match, guys. Maybe we should talk about it." This was a terrible team. Lawler and Cole, man. What a horrible combination that was for the longest time. They kept them together.
Were they like in the middle? I don't remember when their feud was and shit, but those two were never
friendly.
good.
No. But they were being pals. It weren't even like they were doing like the heel shtick. They were just having fun, like talking amongst the. They were doing like what the guys do on Dark these days, but in a world title match.
Right.
Like Cole is in the middle of his heel run, but it's not like he's being like a dick even. He's just not calling the match. But anyway, that's the only comment I have on that because I don't want to, I don't want to detract from the match. But it was a real thing. The left leg is an immediate plot point. And Bryan is as focused on this as on the sell as Punk is on offense. Like they are really whining on it, and it's great. At this point, Jeremy, Bryan he just has enough of his leg work and just beats the shit out of CM Punk. Like just gets like mount and just elbows him for like 15 straight seconds with the most vicious elbows. And when you say that they were pissed off, I believe it afterward. I mean, this was aggressive. He's blistering him, and it's this idea that basically Punk's taking it to the mat and kind of testing Bryan's expertise, but like Bryan is, he has no choice but to kind of make it vicious just to get back in the match. He's kind of fighting uphill here a little bit, and we talk about this a lot, man. Look, baby faces can target body parts. It's very dumb that that's not more common. I'm glad that it's sometimes when you see it, people will be like, "Well, this is weird. Are they the heel or the baby face?" Like, well, baby faces should have game plans too, guys. It's just, it's wrestling. It shouldn't be that black and white. But anyway. Feel free to think of Bob O'Neill's babyface and heel speech there, guys. Anyway, Punk, he's on this leg and he's vicious, he's aggressive, and then Bryan cuts him off on the floor and he gets his target, which is Punk's ribs, And he's back to mostly his ribs, and now they both have this weakness. And I think they'd established ribs on TV based on what the commentary team was trying to say. But man, like now that you've got both guys like kind of back to square one because they're both got to protect something, they're both vulnerable. There's a level of drama that just you don't normally see in these WWE title matches. This is a real outlier. Like Cena has a lot of great WWE title matches, but they're not like this, right? Like they're kind of epic, and he does all the finishes and all that stuff. This is just very different to that. Now it's Punk that needs strikes to get himself out of trouble. So he does what Bryan did. He flurries with big, combination of strikes. And with the selling, because they're registering on everything, there is a sense that it can end at any moment that you don't have when you have a very kind of just sort of blasé opening into the finish. Like, it really feels like anything because they're wrestling a different kind of match. There's a desperation to it. It's tremendous. I will say one criticism. They work to a double crossbody spot, which rules. But like Punk should have really suffered from this double crossbody, right? Like he's the one with the bad ribs.
Right.
Instead, the commentary team says that, but Punk then fires up, makes cut. I just wish they'd have done something different as a double down because like it felt wasted, Like how cool would that spot have been, right? They do a double crossbody, but the guy that's ribs have been worked over is the one that's actually hurt. Like, that would have been unique. They missed that, but that's a little thing. Punk makes his comeback anyway. Bryan cuts him off with a drop kick to the ribs. Punk returns by going to the leg again, gets the figure four, which is an awesome false finish that everyone only remembers because Punk says the I have five. He does that whole bit, which I get is cute. The audience has no clue what he's referencing, but it's cute. The whole,
I was in on that. I popped.
I'm glad to hear it. Couldn't hear you on the network.
I actually had box seats for this event. I was
my God.
Yeah, I was sitting pretty for this one.
Who was you with, Bruce? Mark Carano?
Not this one.
No. That was SmackDown on Friday. But it's actually a great false finish that everyone just remembers for the cutesy little line. But either way, the momentum keeps swinging and the injuries keep like remaining relevant. They never waste any of that stuff. It's just, man, it's honestly one of those matches. So you just got to watch it and just let yourself be immersed. It's such a great match. Even like Punk hits his shitty elbow drop, which is shitty, no point lying about it. But like he hurts his ribs on that, and it's like, man, it really feels like everything in this match matters. Like Punk's like coughing, like me on this fucking podcast. He's like choking, his ribs are so banged up.
Are you setting up a bit?
No, I'm not. Okay. What, the bit just being me coughing? No, it would not be very funny. Wouldn't be bad. That would be a bad bit.
Yeah, but I set up a bit where I coughed the entire podcast, and then chocolate syrup came out. I didn't know if you were setting something up.
You did know I was setting nothing up. You knew full well. There's no way I'm going to be doing chocolate syrup bits anytime soon. But anyway, yes. So he's got all that good stuff. Bryan takes advantage again. He does these just brutal knees, man. Bryan's a guy that can really go through the gears in terms of physicality. But in the end, we have that finish, and I imagine the finish somewhat divides people because I know that nowadays especially people want a very conclusive finish, and the finish of course is he gets the yes lock and Punk rolls back and pins him and then taps on like 4 to protect Bryan. I like the finish. I don't love it because it feels like Bryan's smarter than holding the submission while getting pinned. It just feels a little bit cheap, but I do think that's maybe why people don't think of it as fondly as they should, because let me tell you, this match is an epic, like just an incredible match. Do you think they'll run this match in AEW? Absolutely. I'll be shocked if Punk doesn't just say, I want to work Bryan. Like, it's Bryan. Like, let's be real, bro. Punk's going to work who he wants to work, right? Like, yeah. And he's going to want to work Bryan. So, that seems inevitable to me.
No, they're coming in as the top tag team, Joseph. They're not going to work against each other.
I'm in on this, though. Jack Crosby got very mad about it, but I'm in on it.
Fuck
and
Jack
I think
Crosby.
It's good. Oh, no. Come on. I think, like, to me, AEW's a tag team territory. And if I can get Punk, rid of some of that rust by putting him alongside the greatest wrestler ever, I'm probably going to do it. I'm sorry, dude. I think it'd be good. Any chance this is their first AEW feud? I was talking to Cass about that, and not as a scoop, but Cass was just like, that's maybe where I would go with it. Again, this is not a scoop. He was just saying, like, thinking out loud, but I don't think it's likely. I think both guys come in as baby faces.
I think so too. Because I think you could do them as, I think you'd have to almost do them as heels if the elite guys are baby faces, right? But because those guys
Yeah,
are heels, like it feels like Bryan and Punk come in as baby faces.
dude, there's a lot. Like the big thing for me, and partly it's because I'm a Kingston stan, obviously, but like I do wonder where Moxley fits into this whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, is Moxley going to be pally with Bryan and
Well,
Punk?
he's Hogan. He's Hogan.
Yeah, I don't know what that means, but yeah.
Hall and Nash, Bryan and Punk, Moxley's Hogan.
But that would mean they're heels, right?
Yeah, they can
Imagine
come in
they
as
actually,
heels.
dude. Imagine they actually did the angle beat for beat the same. And Ed Kingston is like Macho Man Randy Savage. He's getting the paradigm shift over and over again.
Who would it be? Who would be the three for AEW? Who would be Savage, Sting, and Luger? Sting, Darby, and Kingston.
It wouldn't actually be. Kingston would be on. You know, like on at some point, just like, listen, I don't like any of these guys, but you're not going to kill WCW. So
Yeah.
they do. In fact, they do kill WCW. It would be Cody, Darby,
and Sting. Just have Sting out there, just almost, just 20 years later. Just have him out there. 25 years later, just have him out there.
Yeah. Almag said, well, the Fed brought DB back from retirement by tagging him with Shane, so they also had him to work Big Cass. Sorry to hear that. How do you feel about Kingston on commentary of Elevation? Dude, that was great. He like, honestly, Tony and Paul White have never sounded better than they did last night. He really brought them, like, together, I thought. They had very good chemistry, all those guys. Tony loves him. It's really fun. Archer. Maybe Archer. Archer's kind of like a loose cannon, though. That babyface trio thing, like where they're just like fighting for WCW's honor, is hilarious. Cody's definitely in it. I can literally hear Cody's promos now. It would be very funny. They would divide Twitter very much.
Joseph, I'm mapping this out.
What are you doing?
Is Darby Luger or Savage? I feel like he's more Luger.
Yeah, I guess so. Only because Sting's still in the match.
Yeah, okay. Sting is Sting. Who's Flair? Moxley's Arn. Who's Flair?
But this is the problem. We're running into issues here. Because if...
Or Kingston's
Flair,
Arn. Sorry, I don't know who I said.
Which would
Kingston's Arn.
it would make Moxley Flair, but Moxley's Hogan.
What if Penta's Flair? He's doing like the Penta shit, Cerro Mado, and then Kingston's actually like, can we get on the fucking same page here? Can you just like not do your gimmick for once and realize that we're like under attack?
The thing is, like, you would not do it with these guys, obviously, but like an actual invasion angle could be so great with the promos they have in AEW. Like, could you actually imagine them doing stuff like that? Like Moxley and Kingston try to rally the troops and just like this, just all of these dipshits, like. Wouldn't Kenny be Flair? That's the thing. Where do the Elite fit into all of this?
Who cares?
Oh, you're booking them out of the territory.
They're off television. They go off television for a while after they
Jeremy,
lose.
We're all friends here, let's be honest, okay? You just got the book at AEW, and the EVPs are no longer EVPs. They're now just talent. Do you call up Vince Jr. and offer a trade to get the Elite, or are you beyond that now? Because I know that you're a big Kenny guy now. And,
wait, do I call who? So. I'm trading Kenny. Am I trading all four of them?
You don't have to. I'm asking if you would, because I know there was one point. We weren't really like big Elite guys. I know now you're a huge fan.
See, the thing is like, who do I want from WWE?
Maybe not. Maybe you'd call up the NWO and be like, I have Nick Aldis, Tom Latimer.
Definitely not. Definitely not that. No, I don't need to call any of those promotions. I work with them. Right? If I want to take anybody from the NWA, I'll just take them.
Would you call up Vince and be like, I will take the Fiend Bray Wyatt, Braun Strowman's trademark name, and the license to run swamp matches forever. You get the Elite. Who says no?
I'm honestly not sure I trade. WWE has killed the value of so many people that I'm just like, is there anybody that I actually want that I would give up for these guys?
They need talent. They just die. everyone you could get from WWE, there's an equivalent on your roster, other than Roman, because
Yeah, I would
Roman's
say
unique.
Roman would be the guy of like, all right, like Roman and the Usos for the elite, like that would
Right.
be the trade, right?
Yeah, but obviously, like we know they're not. Like even guys we like a Kevin Owens, you've got Kingston. Like it's kind of you can do that. Orton, you've just signed Bryan and Punk. Like
Yeah,
it really is. Like their roster's really tremendous. These New Day.
New
That's
Day.
interesting. The elite for the New Day. Hmm. Wow. That would upset fantasy bookers if they just went past each other in the night, ships in the night.
I want to start an AEW TEW save. I feel like, and
It's
I
a lot.
want to put WWE out of business.
Listen, man, their system creatively is a lot more complex than people realize, and I think you would get a headache looking at how big their roster is.
Oh, I 100% would because I did an AEW save start of 2020.
Yes,
Yeah,
I remember you
start of
talking
last
about
year. Yeah, and like it was already a big roster then, and all they've done since then is like really. And I even took like I got um I know I got like Ali, and I think I might have got like Buddy Murphy because their WWE contracts were up,
it.
and so I signed them, and I was already struggling with like where the fuck does Ali like actually fit into my plans here. And this is again 2000 start of 2020 before they signed even more people.
Do you think their mentality with the talent will catch up to them, or do you think their ideology is just like it's a league, man? As long as we treat our talent well and let them wrestle, they'll be happy.
I kind
What
of
do you
think
think?
it's the latter.
I do too. I think they're a promotion built for what the modern talent wants, which is
Yeah.
basically get paid, have fun wrestling.
Yeah.
And I think that could be the real story of this generation of wrestling is like it. I don't know if he intended to, but Tony's kind of built the idyllic like what these dudes want nowadays. They don't give a shit about the titles because they're guaranteed money. Like they care, they'd like to be the champ, but like guaranteed money's a game changer, man. A lot of these dudes back in the day were they needed the belt to be working on top to make more money. Like it's just a different time. That's all. Um, okay. Anything else on this match, Trevor, that you attended?
No, really good. I should rewatch it. I can't wait to see it in 2021.
Wish Samoa Joe didn't go back to NXT.
That's shit, right?
Really hurt my feelings about that.
It did. It really did hurt your feelings.
Do you know that I walked the streets that night?
I had to send a naked picture of myself to cheer you up.
Honestly, I don't know if I've told this on here. I said it to some friends in the DMs, but like I got like 10 messages, like that link, right? Like, oh no, Joe, I'm so sorry. And I was like, oh, here's what it is, man. I messaged Sean. I was talking to Sean about something else. And I was like, bro, Samoa Joe, and he was like, oh, it's over. And I swear to God, I locked my phone and I just left. I just walked around the streets, just considering what it meant to my life. Like, listen, I know I shouldn't care what other people do with their careers. Like, I get it. I'm not saying he did the wrong for the right thing. I'm just saying, for me as a fan, I legitimately like invested a lot of time in my own head of like, where will he go? And it was just like back to NXT. It was the least interesting. Like him being on SmackDown or Raw, at least it's like, well, you know, when I sat and thought about it, I was like, it makes a lot of sense for him, right? Like he's the top guy there. They're not going to beat him a lot because NXT has no stars. He doesn't have to travel.
They're going to put the title on him. They're not only not going to beat him, they're going to put the title on him.
Yeah, like he's as silly as it sounds. He's a bigger deal for them by miles than he would be for AEW. Like NXT is just so barren of any star power. But even still, brother, I was devastated. Think if Bryan and Punk happened first, would Joe have picked AEW? Nah, man. I think Joe's like really. He has his own. He's gonna go his own way. And knowing what he's like, his relationship was like with Punk, I feel like he's known what the deal was with Punk for a while. And he certainly knew Punk was never going to work NXT.
Yeah.
So, Joe's like, I said this before, but Joe's a guy, like, he did the Homecoming with Ring of Honor, and, he did like 10 years in TNA. Like, he's cool now, right? It seems like he'll have some fun. He sees it as a way to secure the rest of his life because he'll be a coach, commentator, scout, all that good stuff. So, we got love for the Samoa Joe, even if he broke my heart. Anyway.
He's going to wrestle in a couple of weeks, Joseph.
Well, he's going to have a match with Karrion Kross. I don't know if that's wrestling, but it would actually be fun. To be honest with you, dude, I watched a clip of him and Keith Lee. The least of Cross's worries is the in-ring, man. Like, he's actually fine. It's just he's a great big nerd. You know? Like, he's just a doll. Like, the actual matches, everyone's like, he's trash. And it's like, his matches are fine, honestly. Like, I like the match with Gargano. What I saw of that match last night was fight. He's just average. Unfortunately, they book him like he's, a monster, and he doesn't have the presence of a monster. But anyway, someone said he looks like the Nostalgia Critic, and I nearly just couldn't. Have you seen this guy, Jeremy? Do you know who the Nostalgia Critic is?
No.
Very annoying. Google him, Jeremy. This will pop you. Very annoying online presence. But someone said Karrion Kross looks like him if he did certain PDs. And I was like, oh my god. He legit has the exact same facial. Throwback, 45 bits, all houses. Put Lee on SmackDown. Roman versus Lee and let Keith Lee loose. They may let Keith Lee loose, but I'm not sure they'll be doing it by a brand movement.
They definitely got no problem letting Keith Lee lose. That ain't the issue.
No. Poor old Keith, bless him.
It's tough.
His Twitter is fascinating. I never know if he's working or not. I don't know what he's doing.
I don't think he's I honestly, I have no idea. It's...
No, look, man, it's a bummer. It's such a shame how things work. I hope he's good, but I really sweet. And it's like, it's just such a puzzling, He's like, I will let you in on the truth of which is ahead. It's like, okay, man. Sure. I hope you're good, but you could just tell me when you're going to tell me. You don't have to, he's like, give me a week or two. It's like, we're not texting here, bro. You could just, I just hope he's okay. I worry. I read all of his tweets in his voice as well, which makes it funnier. He's like, I will finally, and then someone was like, what are you going to share? And he's like, well, I hope we would do it one way, but instead I'll take it directly to the fans. It's like, what is that? He's just going to film a video on his phone and be like, here he is, guys.
He's
going to make a film?
No idea. He's going to go on after the bell and tell his story.
Oh, Jesus.
He'll be on Jericho's podcast.
Yeah, he may be. He may be. I don't know, guys. We wish the best for the Keith Lee, who is seemingly a wonderful guy and obviously a very good professional wrestler. His Twitter simply makes me laugh sometimes. Anyway, main event time, Jeremy. This comes from the pal JR.
It's a match we both love.
It is. I have it on my wall here somewhere. I would pull it down, but it will never go back up and I'll break something. We can make this the main event around here, even though it wasn't able to main event over Shane McMahon in 2017. We can do that. We have the power here, The audience has the power. You're our creative team now, guys.
People power.
All hell. But honestly, man, perhaps it's for the best that this was here because it was fresh. The audience gets so tired after 3 hours. Maybe it's a good thing. They just were fresh for this. I don't know. But anyway, for those that are unaware, this is the Usos. This is the New Day. Hell in a Cell 2017. A match Jeremy and I have referenced many times. I think we're going to do something grand with this at some point. I think we should do a watch along, or we just have some fun with the whole feud. Because I really think it's an outlier of its generation. Jeremy. I think it's a feud people will actually remember forever. And what's important about that is it's two acts that were modern and fresh when it happened, which is cool. Doesn't happen a lot nowadays. Anyway, the usual pre-match, promo deal from the New Day, all that good stuff. And this contrast has been the feud, the whole thing. The Usos are a team that were once the colourful, smiley guys. They then, sold out effectively, turned their back on their fans, and became these kind of brooding badasses that didn't give a shit about anyone but themselves. That obviously stands in contrast to New Day, who quite the opposite, stuck with it so much that people eventually fell in love with them. That's this kind of understated, to me, idea of what these two teams are. They're the two teams of the generation in WWE, but they've got that kind of link of where the audience reacted to them one way and they reacted, in a massive contrast in response. So you have that. At this point, you're 4 months into the program. So everyone, the whole thing's set up. You have these different narratives with Woods being kind of this courageous underdog and all this good stuff. They start off, big standoff. All four guys get out and look for reinforcements. They get some weaponry in. They brawl some. Dude, good lord, Big E's spear through the ropes, man. I can't. He does it here. He does it. He misses, headbutts the cell, Then Jimmy hits a big dive to wipe out Xavier, and he just hits the spear anyway and hits his head on the cell again. He does it twice in a minute. It is outrageous. He's like, the violence is immediately here. We do, what's this here? Michael Misery says, I'm trying to get the booking job for the distraction territory, but I'll lose the top star. When I get Joe to walk in for Terra at a UK KFC, dude, that's deep cut. That's deep cut, but I appreciate it. You can have the book if you want it, but it's a very complex territory. There's a lot of moving pieces here, pal. Nonetheless, we have some comedy here, which I think is very fittingly New Day, and I don't think it ever kills the vibe, because it still looks kind of gnarly, right? Like when they smash Francesca, all that good stuff, yes. And the fucking jump, the thing's ripping in half. Like, it very much fits these guys, but I don't think it takes away from the kind of atmosphere that's set in at all. New Day roll in, it's all fun and games, and there's like a thrown chair shot to the head. Little did I know, Jeremy, that Jimmy Uso was reclaiming chair shots to the head long before Cody Rhodes launches one at Xavier, bumps to the floor, and they regain control in a blink. Like they're one of the best teams ever at that, man. The way they can turn momentum in this, just the absolute tiniest window, they'll do some tandem stuff that just like it clicks perfectly. Their timing is outrageous, the Usos. The match is already intense because of the physicality, but it takes a big time shift here. Because in control, the Usos are a level of vicious that I don't think they've ever topped or come even close to since. And most of it's with the kendo. Right? I mean, they beat the shit out of Big E with this kendo. And then they trap Woods. They do the Umaga spot against defense and all that good stuff, which sets up something later that I think everyone remembers. But they're kicking ass. Then Woods hits that backbreaker on the floor that is just like, good God, it looks like death. Poor Jimmy he looked like he was in agony. Everyone is selling at this point in a sense that like it really feels like this is war. It has a War Games feel, this match, like a sense of trusting your best friend or your brother to go in there for a match you'll never be the same after it. Like it's actually kind of it's kind of a throwback in that sense. And I know it sounds silly after the comedy they just did, but like there's a real sense that this is violent and dangerous, which is what Hell in a Cell was built on once, but man, is it absent so often these days. But nonetheless, now with the momentum on their side, the New Day reverse rolls a little bit. They trap Jay in the cell, and this is the visual everyone remembers, right? Do you remember where he has like 4 different kendos, and he's like going across his mouth, and it's like, fuck, that's a striking image. One of a couple in this match. I do like that by doing it earlier to Woods, this felt like earned. It felt like New Day were having to get more nasty and vicious to match the Usos, rather than as babyfaces caught leading the charge, which I think was a good choice. They've never been like more kind of aggressive than they are in this match, New Day. They're switched on it, and it's framed very much as the Usos brought that out of them, which is again a theme I think throughout the whole program. They're planning something horrific for Jimmy. Jay escapes, makes a big save, and the insanity is just like it's climbing. More and more, there's something insane going on. It's an innovation too. Like they do Jay has E on his shoulders, and Jimmy wipes him out with a dive. Like just crazy stuff that in a cell you haven't got a lot of room, and they're just doing it, man. It's wild. They did 2 splashes in the middle. Big E kicks out. Then they turn to the handcuffs. And I think, again, this is another thing a lot of people remember. They trap E, and they go after Woods. And the crowd at this point, Jeremy, as most would respond to a violent blood feud such as this, they say, we want tables, which are, well, you don't do so much in these scenarios, folks. You can only do so much. They do not get tables. Incredibly memorable image of poor Woods with the handcuffs and the kendo sticks, and it's just so brutal. And Woods is selling his heart out. My God, it's violent. Truly, truly violent. Kofi's having to watch it from the outside. All of this stuff, man. There's a real sense of like emotional weight to these matches. I think Woods is the core of that. Like, there's a real sense that these matches matter, which again, huge outlier to me in the era. But nonetheless, that makes E snap. He just explodes. He runs wild. He's wiping everyone out, including himself, half the time. Like it feels chaotic. It feels dangerous, and it feels raw in a way that just so often mechanically this stuff doesn't anymore. Big E's work with an energy that he looks like he's out of control, which is the idea. But for all his efforts, he's on his own. He hits both Usos. They put him down, double loose, and it feels like that's the finish. And Woods makes one of those saves, man. One of those saves that define this whole feud. That's like 2.9. You don't even see him until he's breaking it up. Like it's just it's mega. But he's still cuffed and he's firing up and he's throwing headbutts. He's just refusing to concede defeat. But eventually they try to almost drag him to the mat in the most brutal fashion. And I think that had been a narrative. I think there was this idea throughout the matches that Woods was like proving himself, and was kind of he became the feud's like heart and soul to me. Like this idea that Kofi's a legend and Big E is the big man, obviously. Woods to me really found himself as a wrestler in New Day in this feud, which is weird because they've already been on top. But he always felt like the mouthpiece before this. To me, he left this with a lot of us thinking maybe he's the best worker, which is why it shows you how good the act is. But that arc, even in defeat, I think is concluded here for him. He goes out valiantly. They close the show, double loose, all that stuff with a chair. The thing that strikes me at this match most is I think they'd wrestled 4 times before this, I want to say. I think they did, Money in the Bank, Battleground, SummerSlam, Sin City Street Fight, Hell in a Cell. And what I think is most impressive about this match is this was a feud built on modern tags. These matches that had these electric finishing sequences, 101 kickouts, and I don't mean that as a criticism, I love those matches. I really love that in this setting they embraced what it was. Rather than just doing another New Day Usos match, they did a Hell in a Cell match. And it was brutal, it was vicious, it was the blow-off that everyone needed at this point. You've done all these matches, you've been feuding for 4 months. This is what was necessary. They earned this stipulation and they made the most of it, which is all you can ask for. The biggest compliment I can give to this feud is that it ensures to me that there's going to be a generation of fans that in 20 years, 30 years will always say, I don't know, man, I'll take Usos and New Day. And I think that actually is very rare in modern WWE, that you have a feud, you have a couple of acts that define a generation, as the way these two have for WWE Tag Team Wrestling. I also think it's awesome that eventually they kind of paid this whole thing off with the Usos letting Kofi get, forfeit in the match against Kofi, or against you remember that whole deal in Kofi Mania? Mm-hmm. I love that they never forgot any of this shit, man. They let it, they let it truly be what it could have been, and they maximised it, which is so rare. But special match to finish a special feud. Jeremy, any memories of this one? A classic, right?
We talk about this match all the time, and for good reason, because the Hell in a Cell has become what it's become. It's just okay, it's our annual pay-per-view. Here we go. This actually felt like a throwback to the actual Hell in a Cell match of hey, this is where blood feuds are settled. This is where you try to kill a man in there because you're just so bitter and angry at him that this is the only way to do it. And I love that about this match. There's an intensity and emotion in this Hell in a Cell match that I don't think we've seen in a very long time, and I'd be shocked if we honestly see it again, because again, it's just the annual match. A lot of these feuds shouldn't have this thing. I absolutely love this match. Again, it's one of those, if I liked wrestling, I'd probably rewatch it a lot, but I can't stand wrestling, and so I don't want to watch a bunch of wrestling matches. But love this match, love this feud. You're right about they played it off Usos they saw what Kofi had gone through, their whole rivalry and everything. It's just all right, you know what? You guys have done enough. You've earned this, you deserve this. And so they laid down for it. And then, they talk about that Woods, because, this is supposed to be Kofi's turn, because they would rotate these matches and stuff. Mm-hmm. But Woods really wanted to do the Hell in a Cell match, and so Kofi subbed out of this match so Woods could take part in it, which, was a cool gesture on their part. But yeah, love this match.
It's special. I think to your credit there, you're right in saying about the kind of level of violence and stuff. And what's interesting, Jeremy, they can't bleed here, right? This is, they're not bleeding. It's the aggression and the violence is just through the work. It's an intensity thing. It isn't just as simple as just cutting themselves and bleeding everywhere. You feel the intensity more than anything, which is even more impressive. Nifmang says there's been a tag match on this level in AEW. I think Bucks and Kenneth and Hangman. It was pretty special.
Yeah.
I also think it's hard to compare because this has a stip that in good workers' hands, Hell in a Cell should really be a slam dunk. You can draw whatever conclusions you want from the fact that, it very rarely is that. I don't know why that is. But, really, you're on with such a level of prestige. The match it still means a lot. it just the way they do it every year, they refuse to allow it to, which is just such a shame. But I don't know. Parking lot brawl, yeah, that one's cool. FTR versus the Bucks. I need to rewatch that match.
That one I feel like is just hurt by the limited crowd.
Agree, yeah.
Like I think you put that in front of a full crowd, and there's a different level to that match.
Yeah, I agree. I also think and this isn't a criticism, but AEW doesn't book feuds like this. Like this is their 5th match. Like that can be a massive negative, like in 99% of times, but in the rare occasion that something clicks the way this did, it does allow a conclusion that I don't think AEW they don't do that kind of feud, do they? Like they do the program, they do the match, and they kind of move on for the most part.
Yeah.
Which again is fine, is better 99% of the time. Just in this particular case, basically, from what I can imagine or remember, SmackDown didn't have a lot of other tag options. They were trying to get the Bludgeon Brothers. Yeah, they were trying to get Bludgeon Brothers ready, and they had Breezango, but they need to just keep running it. And in this one case, that made it better. Lucha Bros and the Bucks in the ladder match. Dude, I watched that for the first time this weekend. It's a crazy match. I couldn't believe Dave gave it 5 1/4. What is the need, Dave? Like a quarter? Can you just give it 5? Do you have to get a quarter more? Is that necessary? I get saying 6. 6 is a statement, right? 6 stars. That's impressive. 5 1/4, David. Come on. Be careful here. But yeah. The parking lot brawl is very good. I don't know. It's hard, isn't it? Because it's like that match is incredible, but that feud doesn't stick with me nearly as much because it felt very trivial until they started fighting to me, you know?
See, these are great matches and stuff, but there is something to this just being, and maybe it stands out more in WWE because we don't see it as often. Right. Where in AEW, you've named all these great matches that hit a certain level, but I don't have the emotional attachment to a lot of this stuff. I like the parking lot brawl. That was great. Did I care that much about the feud? No, not really. Hangman Omega Bucks was certainly there. That's where there was an actual emotion attached to it. And Bill's Mafia misses Arcade Anarchy. That feud sucked. The match was fun. That feud sucked.
Yeah, it's hard, right? I also think in a weird way, this feud is the best version of WWE.
Yeah.
This is when people say, why does someone still watch WWE, which you and I are not the people to ask because we don't really, but I think it's on the idea that they can still do stuff like this. That's just, I don't know, man. It has a gravity to it that is very WWE, right? It's 2 teams that they can reasonably say are the greatest teams in the promotion's history, and it feels authentic, which is, I think something they just haven't done with modern stars for so long. The big singles matches are exclusively involving legends at this point. Not the women, with the men. I don't know. I think part of it is what you said there, Jeremy. I think it stands out so much in WWE Tag Team Wrestling. We appreciate that they actually managed to get it to this level, basically.
Yeah.
And we care about both teams, so that's pretty obvious. But, special match. This was a good show, folks. If you watch this as an NXT takeover style broadcast, good show. We had some variety. We went to the 80s with WCW. We got a little enhancement match in there. We got a WWE title classic. We got a Hell in a Cell tag. We got a Progress tag. Jesus wept. What a time! What a time, Jeremy.
That was your idea for these shows, right, Joseph? You kind of put it out there on Twitter what we're gonna watch, and then hopefully people are better than me and they actually go and watch it, so they can enjoy these match reviews.
Look, man, I like the idea that we talk a lot about wrestling ideas, and narratives and stories, and I think that's what this show's best at. I think there's a reason most people come to our show and people get released or signed somewhere. They like that. They enjoy our insight and stuff. But I also like just showing love to the craft sometimes, and the idea that whether it's in front of 800 people in New York City, or whether it's in front of 15,000 people in Detroit, or, wherever, 18,000 in Tokyo, at the end of the day, when that bell rings, you work with a clean slate. And I like the idea of talking about those stories sometimes, that a bell to bell, and let's be honest, Jeremy, 99% of the time are like completely forgotten, right? Like when Jonathan Gresham, God forbid, hangs up the boots, but they're going to say he was this, that, and the next. They won't say, do you remember when he worked Santana's leg over at Progress NYC? Like, yeah, it works, but I think it's important sometimes to do this stuff because my main motivation for this show, as you know, Jeremy, and we talked about it with Charlotte Flair earlier, I think so often, so often, people in our position, like, good and bad in ring is just like a narrative. Some wrestlers are deemed bad, they're always bad. Some wrestlers are deemed good, and they will always be good. That none of their flaws are discussed. And I think sometimes it's important to just, fine tooth comb this shit. Now, I know, Jeremy, you're very busy, and I appreciate it's not like your thing, but it is cool, right, to do this stuff sometimes. Because I get that for some people, it's probably boring to hear every wrestling media person like think that every wrestler's great and every wrestler sucks. The same list, like. It's more complex than that, you know? Some people just will tweet stuff like, Charlotte Flair's maybe the best wrestler ever. It's like, well, maybe we should talk about what she does good and bad in ring rather than just...
Wow, why are you calling me out like that?
Well, I know you're doing a bit, but like, you get what I'm saying though, right?
Yeah.
Like, guys will get defined as good, and then every performance, like, you can't discuss it in any kind of detail. And it's like, man, there's a lot of nuance to these in-rings. Is it the most exciting conversation? Maybe not. But we had over 40 people here for most of this thing, and they seem to have fun, so all hell, that's what I say. That's what I say, Jeremy, all hell.
Joseph, you ready for NXT tonight?
I don't watch NXT anymore.
Fair.
I don't, Hitman Punk says here, and I just want to read this because it's true. Is this where I insert my speech on how New Day should have been WWE's biggest babyface in stature this past decade? They should have been main event in every house show in 6-mans, and they should have transformed one of the brands into a tag team territory. But they are fucking idiots. I appreciate it, man. He says that our analysis makes him enjoy pro wrestling more.
Joseph's analysis. Mine is...
I don't know. You were pretty good on that Progress match earlier. No, I think I've had that experience for I start listening to a podcast that has a different outlook, and it's like you can watch wrestling through a different lens. I like the idea of us doing that. Like, I don't know how, but I appreciate it. Like, I don't know, man. There's different ways to discuss this stuff, I guess. I think over a week we try to cover just about everyone. We do this bullshit TW stuff sometimes too. We do match reviews. We do all this stuff. So it is what it is, folks. It's very fun.
New Day were good heels, though. Like, people... I mean, I know, like, they're obviously fantastic baby faces, super over and whatnot, but, like, they were fun heels.
Yeah, that's how they got over, right? The heel run is, that's what really transformed them into, like, a top act.
Yeah.
Because they lent into it, amazingly, Jeremy. If you react to the audience, good things happen.
Yeah, those guys can do anything. They're so talented.
Yeah, they're one of the great acts. They're iconic. Like, they're one of the only things that would be produced in the last decade that will live forever. Them and The Shield, probably.
I mean, they're the greatest tag team of the WWE history.
Yeah. I actually think objectively that's true. I know you're doing like a reference to that list that didn't feature... Oh, I need to talk to you about this. I did this on Patreon. So obviously the Revival should be on the list, right?
Yes.
Because they counted NXT, so like, they're a lock. Like, it just is what it is. Like, if NXT's counted, they need to be in. Even without it, I think they're there. Are the Good Brothers on the list in an objective world?
For WWE teams?
Yeah, I was trying to figure this out. Because their run was so lame.
Yeah.
I can't figure out if it was still good enough to be on the top 50.
I mean, let's look at this top 50 list.
How many times they win the belts?
They won them a lot. They won the... Who won the fucking tournament? Did they win that dumb tournament? They won that tournament,
yes,
right?
The greatest tag team in the world, yes.
Yeah. Hold on.
I am Crackerjack. He's putting me over here. Let me read this. He says, late to the Piper, shout on the feature of the 1 hour... Oh my God, what's happening? 1 hour Nitro show. Yeah. I appreciate that, man. That one didn't do very well, I am Crackerjack. But that was a concept that kind of was an interesting one to write because it's a little bit different. But I love that... that 1 hour run of Nitro. It fascinates me.
All right. They won the tag titles 2 times, and they won the World Cup gimmick.
And they held them for what, like a month each, probably. Like I don't remember them being champs a lot, you know.
Their reigns lasted.
This is the kind of stuff we get into on the distractions, folks. Something that no way Gallows or Anderson give a shit about, possibly. But we are going to discuss it here.
Their first reign lasted 63 days. Their second reign lasted 21 days. So about 3 months total. Not even.
No.
Not even.
Oh, the 21 days was like Heyman really fucked them, right? That was when Braun and Seth won them.
All right, so here's the dude. Like this list is like Batista and Ric Flair.
See, this is the thing.
Is on it?
I feel like they're still on the list.
Yeah, they're still on this list. I never like actually looked at it because I don't give a shit.
Bro.
It really sucks.
It's so bad. Like the revival not being on it is so petty, bro. Like, come on.
Like even the Shield at 22. Like
yeah.
I guess because you can't put Mox like that high. Is that the only reason why?
You know, they did it as the Shield because the first time Roman and Seth were the team.
Right.
The second time Seth and Mox were.
Right.
So like they didn't want to put them both in, so they.
Right. I understand. Like it's the collective group, but like, did they not just put them higher because they didn't just because of like the Moxley factor? Because you know if Moxley was still there, that's a top 5 team for them.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'd have to look at their runs. I don't remember them that well.
The Valiant Brothers. When has WWE ever been like the Valiant Brothers, one of the great teams in our history?
But they do like whoever does those lists is a very different. It isn't like the general WWE takesman because like Mickey James was like 12th. It's the guy off the bum, dude.
Toru Tanaka and Mr. Fuji. That's 18. They're over like the Shield. How many times do you think they won the tag team titles?
I don't know. They probably held them for a long time. That's old school New York wrestling shit, bro. I don't know.
This list sucks now that I actually look at it.
I watched every episode of this.
It's absolutely awful. I feel like the women's list, like it wasn't great, I guess. But yeah, better. They won the WWF tag titles a bunch. I mean, they won them 3 times, but yeah, their first run was over 300 days.
I love that I asked you to conclude on Good Brothers. You just tore apart the whole list. I'm gonna pull it out for myself.
Do you think we can get the guy who put this list together in the Twitch chat to defend himself?
No.
Try to bully people off of this list.
Okay, so look, the Quebecers seems bad.
This is what I'm saying.
Seems like the Good Brothers could be in it. Can we get the Good Brothers in it?
I'm gonna tweet SP3 to put together a tag team list so we can bully him on Twitch.
Dude, Money Inc. is the most boring team ever in the history of wrestling.
Yeah.
Imagine actually watching that team do anything. Bushwhackers are at 50. I guess they got over. The Smoking Guns, Jeremy. Come on now. I don't know, guys. I think the Good Brothers have got a shot here.
They definitely do.
I mean, look, I don't remember anything they did. I'm a pretty big fan of theirs, so maybe not, but... Well.
Raw drew 1.8 million for those of you that care.
1.8?
Yeah. It's just going to go back down. Like, it got the...
The show sucks, dude.
Yeah.
No one likes the show. Like, you know, I did say I never do, Jeremy. I was reading debate on Twitter, and I was like, let me just see what Reddit thinks.
Oh, boy.
And, like, Reddit was like therapy. Like, they were just, like, sitting there and being like, every comment was just like, why do I watch the show? It sucks. I'm going to start watching, like, fucking Ring of Honor and MLW. Like, people were... I just realised, like, why am I on Twitter debating this stuff? People like, everyone else agrees it sucks. Like, why am I doing this? I don't know. It's just a shame. It doesn't have to be that bad. Like, I don't watch SmackDown, but people like SmackDown. There's no reason for Raw to be, like, driving people fucking insane every week, you know? It could at least be inoffensive WWE. That's the least it could do. But no. And that's what happens when you take the brained Fay Wyatt, I was about to say. It's when you take him off TV. That should be his Impact name. The brained Fay Wyatt.
Sean Burby says SRS said last night they think it'll be down to 1.5 by November. November? Shit's going to be back down to 1.5 like a week after SummerSlam.
I do wonder if there's any consequences to this stuff. I mean, I don't think so. We've discussed this many times. But, like, I don't know, man. Seems bad, huh? Like, have you seen how negative just all of this conversation about the product is? Like, I know, the internet whines, it's a minority, I get all of this, but, like, the discourse is so toxic. Worse than ever, Jeremy.
I tweeted SV3. I said, "Can you put together another list so we can bully you?" And he said, "Of course, since it's topical. Top 10 Eddie Guerrero feuds coming up." Dude, the people really talk themselves into like, "Oh, fans will be back. It'll be good." And like, they're just doing their same show. It's honestly worse. Like they're doing a worse show with fans back because like there are fans. You can at least kind of excuse it of like, oh yeah, they're just kind of like doing dumb shit because it's the Thunderdome and whatnot. Like now, like fans are actually there, and it's like all this stuff. It's the Thunderdome stuff, but it is just worse because there's actual fans there, and you realize how bad this stuff is in like a large arena setting with fans there.
It's a level of bad that you couldn't imagine getting cleared by creative. You couldn't fathom pitching that Nikki angle and being like, yep.
No, but Joseph, she loses. And so she gets over because people are going to be sympathetic towards her. Because, you know, in those superhero movies, they got to get knocked down a peg before they eventually
She's already won
conquer.
the title. She's already won the title, Jeremy. The arc's finished. She's probably never going to win it again. The arc is now her as champ.
She won the title. That's the opening scene where, you know, the hero beats up the bad guys and stuff at first. That's the winning the title. And then she gets knocked down by the villain. The villain gets one over. And then in the end, hero conquers all, Joseph. Just wait. That's what's going to happen.
Sean says, what are the odds that they go home for All Out with a higher rating than Raw? I don't think so. I think we should all, like... I get where you are, Sean. I appreciate it. I hope so. But I kind of think we should all like rein in our AEW expectations. I think their audience kind of is what it is. The fact that they're like in the same ballpark is fucking embarrassing.
The fact that what? Sorry.
The fact that like WWE's just let them, like how WWE has made it competitive in the ratings by being so shitty. It honestly is impressive, dude. Like you can't. If we just listed the advantages that company has, it's unfathomable. And they're like actually getting themselves into a war that they'd have no reason to be into. You know. It's embarrassing, but whatever.
Are we talking about rating? Because honestly, like the demographic rating, I could see it.
Yeah.
I could totally see it. Viewership.
Well, isn't that already close? Isn't the demo stuff already like close?
Yeah, it's already close. I could totally see them beating the demo. Joseph, the thing about WWE and letting AEW into this is like when you put Vince McMahon's back up against a wall and you like and he has to come out and he has to fight, and right now like AEW's creeping up and Vince McMahon might have to fight, and they don't want that. They don't want to see Vince McMahon with his back up against the wall.
Sorry to hear that. Be honest, okay? How often do you think TK thinks about winning the war? Honestly. Like, he's never going to admit it, but in his heart.
Every single day.
Yeah.
Every single day he thinks about just, like, conquering WWE.
He sees it in his head. Like,
yeah.
Just every time he just... What do you think it looks like for him? Does he, like, hit Triple H for pedigree at, like, pay-per-view or something?
He probably does the same... He didn't have a son, so, you know, his son can't show up on WWE Raw and be like, the name on the contract says Khan. Maybe it's Nick Khan. Nick Khan shows up and he takes over. He sees it just like that, though, right? Like, he's cutting that Vince McMahon promo of, like, I bought my competition. He's doing that whole shtick.
I really think he's I think he sends Bischoff.
Yeah.
I really think he makes Bischoff like the spokesperson for Victory. He sends him to like collect the remaining goods of the World Wrestling Federation. After, because here's the thing, Jeremy.
Bischoff
If Eddie Kingston keeps cutting these shoot promos, they may go out of business. He brings them to their knees.
Bischoff
So maybe
rides
that.
in. Bischoff rides in on the motorcycle. He's like, "It's good to be king."
Imagine they lower him into Titan's house.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good shit. I don't know, man. Listen. I'm convinced that all of this stuff and all of our criticisms will have no consequence whatsoever. And based on being legacy content alone, that company will just keep rolling. But I would be like, if we cover something of that significance happening, holy shit, Jeremy. Do you know how much trouble I'm going to get myself into with my WCW rhetoric? It'd be very bad. There's no way, right? Nothing crazy like that happening.
I
No
know
way.
Cracker Jack says TK dreams of hiring Paul, then dropping him out to the Stinger. I bet he does. I bet that might be the first move, actually.
That might be closer than you think, man. That poor dude, man.
It's his birthday.
He's like running promos on Raw, being like the unbeatable Karrion Kross. It's like, well, I don't know. I want to stress, I don't expect anything wild to happen. I think wrestling's actually just in a place where every time Vince and Co say we aren't wrestling, I think now that AEW exists, more and more wrestling fans just keep like, okay, fine, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, that's already happened. Like, I think there's a lot of fans just like, you know what, like, I'm tired. Don't stop insulting me. But I still think they've got this big old core of like, lunatics, basically. And I don't think that'll ever change. I know it's dwindling, I know it's declining, but I don't know, Jeremy. They're still such an asset, right? Like, the amount of hours they have in that vault of theirs. I just can't see anything happening really to them. But Hitman Punk said, did we talk about that US versus Vince gimmick? Oh, God.
What's there to talk about? Like, they're going to rewrite it how they want to, and Vince is going to be a conquering hero who, when his back's up against the wall, Joseph, he comes out swinging, and you just don't want to mess with that man.
Such, like...
That's what it's going to be.
How embarrassing is it that when TK did that very funny promo where he talked about there's only room for one car, and people were like, you don't want to mess with Vince, bro. Like, don't play with him. It's like, are you guys like, what is wrong with you? Like, why should he be scared to that degree? Do you know how rich these people are? They're both billionaires, just slinging dick at each other at this point. Let's be real. Like, it ain't that deep. He's not going to assassinate him, you know? Let everyone have fun with his stuff, dude. Like, I was talking to Cassius, and he's like, people really, as a criticism, will be like, TK's a money mark. And it's like, and you would rather he be a money guy that doesn't like wrestling? Like, what's the... Like, it's a pissing contest. That's what this is. Let's be real about it.
Yeah.
TK has started a wrestling promotion, and he's trying to complete, in his mind, I promise you this is what he thinks, he's trying to complete the mission that Big Bish failed to succeed at 25 years ago. That's what he thinks. And he will tell you 100 times over, that's not it. We're here to be an alternative. We're here to make money. The wrestling industry... Listen, that's what he's trying to do, okay? Just being real with you. It's very simple, okay? Oh, Joe, it's always Vince, though. Remember when they would run on the same, and he'd be like, don't wake Vince up, sleeping giant. Listen, man, he'll put you out of business. Like, no. Tony's he's going to waste as much money as he wants to on this dude. Like, he's having fun with it. It's just... I just think it's embarrassing. Like, when they put out that shirt about, complaining isn't conversation, all that shit, it's like...
Is that a shirt?
Like, oh, whatever. They got the trademark.
Yeah, it's just a trademark right now.
It will be a shirt, I'm sure. And people are like, LOL, Vince is like, he's such an alpha. It's like, what's wrong with you? He's an alpha. What are you talking about? He's an old man. Why are we doing this? Like, why are we actually pretending he's like some sort of war veteran? He's a wrestling promoter. They're all wrestling promoters. Let them enjoy themselves. Indeed, Joel, indeed. Will we ever get Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos investing in a wrestling company? I want to see a wrestling match in space. Business ain't that hot, pal. It's tremendous. He's a veteran of the Monday Night Wars, indeed. That's what I mean, man. Like, it's, him, Hunter, and Undertaker, they fought wars out there, bro. They were on the battle line, Definitely wasn't just like a wrestling competition. But yeah, WCW dying the way it did makes everyone assume that like at the end of these battles, every promotion must just die, and it's not in fact the case. But nonetheless, Raw was good, right, Jeremy? That's what I hear.
I didn't watch it. I don't know.
Should I start? Seriously though, are we allowed to call Nikki ASH, Nikki Ash?
That's what I call her.
Oh, you're not allowed.
I don't care.
Jeremy, you got to follow the rules here.
No.
They're very
Rules
specific.
are meant to be fucked, Joseph.
I need the chat to clear this up. Can we call her that? Or do we have to spell it out every time? She's very important to me. Because if we have to spell it out every time, that seems very bad. Robert O'Neill thinks it's purely because Karrion Kross. They didn't want to have two crosses. Is that true, do you think?
Yes. I mean, I don't know if it's true, but I believe it.
Do you think TK will go full WCW and try to attempt Collision in Korea? Hope not. You have to spell it out. That's what I thought. Strong responses to this. Okay, I need to say this. Has SP3 made the list, Jeremy?
Yeah, he has.
Okay, we're going to do this quickly because
Okay.
been on here for 2 hours, too much.
All right. Top 10 Eddie Guerrero feuds. Ready?
Yes.
Number 1, I'll start 10. 10, Conan. 9, Brock Lesnar. 8, Chris Jericho. 7, JBL. 6, Rob Van Dam. 5, Edge. 4, Chris Benoit. 3, Kurt Angle. 2, Dean Malenko. 1, Rey Mysterio.
SP3 is here. I'm going to be honest, I have no real take on this. What does the chat think? Chat,
SP3, I love you. I'm going to bully you in a different way. It's not a list that generates conversation.
Yeah. Agreed. Seems fine.
Yeah.
Not ideal.
You know, top 10 the Canadian wrestlers, that'll generate some conversation. Just like top Eddie Guerrero feuds. It's like, yeah, sure. He had a lot of great matches. He had a lot of cool feuds.
Ray is obviously number 1, right?
Yeah.
I guess the issue is the word feuds. You know? Because Brock Lesnar is a great feud, but it's like a single, one-off match, and they never do it again, right? That makes it hard. I think JBL should be higher.
I think JBL should be higher. That was my one thing as well.
Yeah. Because that ruled. Let's be real. I mean, look, definitely very offensive, but legitimately good pro wrestling. If we're being sincere here. I don't know. Seems like a good list. I need to really look through the Eddie's, the match catalog and such. But
JJ says, "Where's Bischoff?"
Could be the top of the list if we're being honest. In that sense, Bischoff he'd be the top rival of many men, wouldn't he? Really?
Yes.
He would be, he'd be up there.
SP3, we've got to bully you somehow. Why doesn't SP3 have a sub? Someone gift SP3 a sub.
Oh my god. It was a good list, SP3. We needed.
Yeah, it was. It was a good list.
You should have left JBL off so I could have done a big promo about it. Wow. No respect for this business. Eric Bischoff is my honourable mention. The Bish. Peak Bish. Do you remember when he went back to run SmackDown? That ruled.
For 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's SmackDown did a big rating and he was retweeting stuff wow, what a success. And then he was fired 2 weeks later. Bless his heart. What a rib that was, by the way.
That one was tough.
Yeah, definitely not ideal to move a 60-year-old man across the country to fire him after mere months.
And I get it, you guys are trolls.
There we go. JJ gifting us up to SP3.
Oh, wow.
SP3, make sure to say thank you to JJ. Great man, JJ.
He is very good. He likes that total non-stop action stuff, though. Have you heard about this?
Yeah, he's got an alt account on Twitch. It's like TNA Man and there's a bunch of numbers, yeah.
What does he do on that, bury us?
No. He just likes to come in here and just add to our numbers, which we appreciate, but
right.
Just an alt account.
Feels like he buries us on that one.
Probably.
Yeah. He goes to like the Impact Wrestling stream and he's like, God damn it, those distraction guys are out here again. That piece of shit, Bob O'Neill.
SP3's top 5.
Wow.
Bischoff feuds. TNA, Vince, Flair, Piper, Austin.
I don't know, man. TNA's at least behind Vince and Flair. Flair is high, dude.
Yeah.
That segment where Flair's like just, he's losing it and he's like, I'm already blood's pouring from his mouth because he's biting his own tongue because he's very angry. He's like, seems bad. If you get so fired up that you've got colour from biting your own tongue, probably time to calm down a little bit. It's a different time. The business has changed since then, Jeremy, you know?
That's what I told you, like our first show, Joseph.
Here we go. Rating scoop from Bill's Method. He says AEW last Wednesday, 35-49 was 425k. To Raw's last night, just 419. Fucking owned.
Right.
Fed dead.
Let's
Fed
not give
Fed dead.
Let's not give Bill's Mafia credit here. He clearly just took that from Brandon Thurston.
Scoop.
Okay, there we go. Bill's Mafia is now crediting Brandon Thurston. Okay.
Fed dead.
I saw the tweet as well. I mean, that's in the 35 to 49 demographic. We're looking at the 18 to 49.
No, we're not. You are. I'm not. Seems like the Fed's dead.
Sure.
Who will be the last pit on the battlefield when it ends? The Fiend, Bray Wyatt?
Like actual wrestlers or Twitter
I
users?
think when it all ends,
Drew.
The last main event ever will be Bray and Alexa in the Thunderdome because they won't be able to sell any tickets anymore, and they'll just do cinematic matches.
Drew.
Yeah, Drew. Yeah.
Drew, 100%.
Who's Drew gonna wrestle?
Drew against.
It's wrong so much. Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
Oh man, they're gonna have a tremendous match. Tremendous match in the Thunderdome, where they can't be interrupted by those loud fans out there. Why don't they just have the match they want to have?
I was gonna say Orton because Orton just like doesn't give a fuck. He's just gonna collect his money, show up, wrestle his match.
No, but at some point Vince, we can't pay you that deal.
Yeah.
Can't pay it to you, and he's gonna be like, well, you can fuck off. I'm going. It's just a shame. Like you gotta seriously. Like, we all wish it well. It's a shame that it's dead, but all good things come to an end, right?
Dude, financials are Thursday. By the way, Joseph, I don't know if you know this. We're not doing a post show on Thursday because I gotta do financials.
Folks, breaking news. This Thursday, the post show will be a Patreon exclusive.
There you go.
With just myself and probably Bob O'Neill because there's no life whatsoever. So there you go. That'll be at probably 1:30. Is that right? No,
4:30.
4:30.
4:30 Eastern. Yeah.
Where the fuck did I get 1:30?
I have no idea. You're on Pacific time.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
So that'll be exclusive, folks, for the patrons. Please join us because otherwise I'll have to talk to Bob, without any kind of instruction from the chat, which is not ideal.
I'll pop on there for like the first 15 minutes or so before I gotta do because I think the financial call starts at 5. So.
Yes. For those unaware, you can sign up for just $1. You can donate as much as you want, but it can be just one. We're fine with that. Obviously, that's why we have it that way. It'd be weird if we was not happy about that. $1, man. That's cool. That's cool with us. So, you know what it means, Jeremy? If you just pay $1 a month, your annual pay will be 1 month of the Wrestling Observer.
There you go.
And we have a similar level of scopes because I basically just say everything I know on Patreon. It's actually true. Everything I just said is actually true, which is very funny. But there you go.
It is. Like, I mean, we didn't break it, but we had the Daniel Bryan news before the Observer on Patreon.
By the way, are all the Brocking times up?
As far as I
don't even know.
Hold on.
Because I know that was the last one we recorded.
As far as I know, Bruce is calling. Hold on.
Okay. Damn it. Bruce is out here again, folks. That Bruce bit's funny because, I'll say that on Patreon. Last match will be Triple H and Shane. No way, Greg. Shane will be out there way before that. Not Shane, sorry, Triple H will be. Observer dead. Wow. R.I.P. we're saying to the Observer, huh? Fair. Probably almost certainly untrue, but, fair. Maybe that's how I should just promote it now full time. Just be like, well, 1 year of patron subscriber gimmick is a monthly observer. Oh, look, in all seriousness, guys, Dave has some scoops, allegedly. I just don't see them. That's all. I'm sorry, I've got a... Folks, before we wrap up, anything else to discuss? GCW killed the Observer. Do you think there's legit beef between Vince and Triple H? No. I think there's legit beef with him losing the war. I think Vince resents that and wants to make him jump through some hoops for a while. Strong comment. Still the high spots can get the best $12 a year. Dude, that high spots thing, seriously, if you're a fan of this business, that's a really good subscription, by the way, guys.
What?
The high spots one.
Oh, yeah, you always put that one over. It's good.
There's so much stuff. There's in-ring, but you also got so many interviews. You got so many damn documentaries. Some of the documentaries are great. I do genuinely recommend that, guys. If you've watched all the Fed documentaries, you want some different stuff, I would recommend the high spots. And I have no deal with them whatsoever, even though I should. Jack Crosby's video of Meltzer's tongue is still haunting me. Or is it Omri laughs?
Yeah,
seems bad.
I saw it today.
No comment. Jeremy, are we done here? I think we're done, right?
I think we're done.
This was fun.
It was.
We're back, Jeremy. We're back.
We are. We'll be back next week. Because we're not going to be on Twitch the rest of this week. At least you and I. We will be on Twitch Friday night after the SmackDown post show. Joseph, you're welcome to join that if you would like. If you're up at 11:30 after SmackDown.
Absolutely not.
Yeah,
that's
I don't blame you.
Not my deal.
I don't blame you. We'll be on Twitch then. Myself, Joe Pearl, Hannah, talking about shitty jobs. And just bury my current employer.
Poor Bruce.
What if I did that? I just went on there. I was like, let me tell you about this fucking Fightful place.
It's paid by TK every week and not getting any rewards for it, huh? Let me tell you.
All right, everybody. Who do we want to raid? Who's on? Cabana, Zicky Dice. We're out. We're out drawing the Zicky Dice. Should we show him some love?
I guess.
SB3. We're gonna do. There's so much because I want to do an NBA. I want to do an NBA podcast on Thursday. I wanted to do a draft thing as the post show for Thursday, but fucking financials. But I want to do an NBA thing, and I do want to do a challenge thing. We'll figure something out, SB3, because I do want to do both of those things. So we'll figure it out. It might be a weekend thing, SB3. We'll talk. Okay, we'll be back next week, Monday. Do we have a show to review on Monday, Joseph? Or are we gonna do something else on Monday?
I don't know. What's the schedule, Jeremy? Is there a pay-per-view of any kind? I don't think
Impact
so, right?
Homecoming.
I usually review those, but that seems like I shouldn't review.
Yeah, doesn't seem like it's great. When does NBA free agency open up? Maybe if you're free Monday, SB3. Free agency start.
Is that what we're doing Monday, you think?
Maybe. Oh, it starts August 6th. So.
My God. I'm thrown off by when the season ended. That's
yeah, I know. Maybe Monday we do draft fallout, and we just kind of do general NBA and also wrestling if we should talk wrestling. Just a general fucking bullshit.
You hate wrestling.
Monday. I agree. That's why I said let's talk about NBA instead of wrestling.
I don't want to talk about NBA anymore.
That's fair too. I mean, Ben Simmons is gonna get traded on Thursday.
He is, right? I'm intrigued by that. Even if I take off my Sixers, I'm just intrigued by it. He's such a weird player. Where does he go,
Yeah.
Be interesting.
All right, everybody. I like how our viewership peaks as we're leaving. People are man, can't wait to see who they're going to raid. Y'all enjoy whatever you're watching tonight. I got to watch fucking NWA. Shit.
Sorry to hear that.
All right, we're going to raid Zicky Dice. Everyone tell him hi. former NWA champion, not the world's champion. Nobody holds that belt.
Only one of those, brother.
Yeah. Y'all enjoy y'all's night. Talk to y'all later on.